Life-changing wisdom, the mindset secrets that separate the successful from everyone else. What if everything you believed about success was slightly, just slightly, off? Not completely wrong, not a lie, just tilted, angled in a way that keeps you walking in circles instead of forward. That's what this is about today. We're going to go deep, really deep, into the mindset principles that the most successful, most fulfilled people on earth quietly live by. Not the motivational poster stuff, not the hustle harder noise. The real, uncomfortable, life-changing truth about how your mind is either building your future or quietly sabotaging it every single day. This is going to take some time. I'm not going to rush it. I want you to sit with this. Let it settle. Let it work on you. And before we go any further, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do it right now. Hit that subscribe button, because this is the kind of conversation I have here every week, and I don't want you to miss a single one. Subscribe, and let's build something together. Now, let's begin. The foundation. Your mind is not your friend, it's your employee. Here's the first thing you need to understand, and it's going to reframe everything that follows. Your mind is not on your side by default. I know that sounds harsh, but stick with me. Your brain evolved over hundreds of thousands of years to keep you alive. Not to make you successful, not to make you happy, not to make you rich or fulfilled or free. Alive, safe, comfortable, familiar. The brain is a threat detection machine. It scans for danger, it avoids risk, it returns to the familiar because the familiar didn't kill you yesterday. So maybe it won't kill you today either. That's brilliant engineering for a human being living on the open savanna 200,000 years ago. It is terrible engineering for someone trying to build a business, leave a toxic relationship, learn a new skill, or step into any version of themselves that doesn't yet exist. The gap between the life you have and the life you want, that gap is filled almost entirely by your mind doing its job, which is to protect you from anything unfamiliar, anything uncomfortable, anything that could go wrong. So when you feel resistance, when you feel fear, procrastination, doubt, that sick feeling before you do something new, that's not a warning sign. That's just your brain doing exactly what brains do. Successful people don't have less fear. They've just stopped waiting for the fear to go away before they act. The first shift, the first real mindset shift is this. You are not your thoughts. You are the one observing them. Your mind produces thoughts the way your lungs produce breath. Constantly, automatically, without asking your permission. You don't choose the thought, I'm not good enough. That thought arises, and then, this is where you have power, you choose what to do with it. Most people treat their thoughts like commands. The mind says, you can't do this, and they sit down. Successful people treat their thoughts like employees. The mind says, you can't do this, and they say, thank you for the input, I hear you. Now watch me anyway. Your mind is your employee, not your boss. This single shift from being commanded by your thoughts to managing them is the beginning of every great life ever built. The identity trap. You're not changing your habits, you're changing who you are. Let's talk about why most people fail at change.
Not because they're lazy. Not because they don't want it badly enough. Not because they lack discipline. They fail because they're trying to change their behavior without changing their identity. They say, I want to exercise more, while still seeing themselves as someone who doesn't exercise. They say, I want to save money, while still seeing themselves as someone who struggles financially. They're painting the walls of a house with a rotten foundation. The behavior always follows the belief, always. If you believe, deep down, in the place where your real self lives, that you are the kind of person who gives up when things get hard, you will give up when things get hard. No amount of motivation, no vision board, no morning routine will override that core belief. So here's what actually works. You don't change your habits first, you change your story first. You ask a different question. Instead of, how do I make myself exercise, you ask, what would a healthy person do right now? Instead of, how do I make more money, you ask, what decisions does a financially successful person make? You start voting for a new identity. Every small action is a vote. Every time you do the thing the new version of you would do, even imperfectly, even halfway, you cast a vote for that identity. You're not building habits, you're building evidence. Evidence that you are who you're becoming. This is not fast. I want to be honest with you about that. Changing your identity, your deep cellular sense of who you are, takes time. It takes repetition. It takes you repeatedly doing the thing and surviving the discomfort and doing it again. But it is the only thing that works permanently. Think about people who lose 100 pounds through sheer willpower and gain it all back within 2 years. Why does that happen? Because they changed their behavior without changing their identity. Deep down, they still saw themselves as an overweight person, so the body found its way back to the story. Now think about people who lose the weight and keep it off forever. If you ask them 5 years later, they'll say something like, "I just don't eat that way anymore. It's not who I am." The identity shifted, the behavior followed, and it stayed. You are not trying to change your life, you are trying to change who you believe you are. Get the identity right, and the life will organize itself around it. The myth of motivation. I want to dismantle something right now because I think it's responsible for more wasted potential than almost anything else. The myth of motivation. We are sold this idea by movies, by social media, by the entire self-help industrial complex, that to do great things, you need to feel inspired. You need to feel ready. You need to feel the fire. And most of us spend our lives waiting for that fire. We wait until we feel like going to the gym. We wait until we feel inspired to start the business. We wait until we feel confident enough to have the hard conversation. We wait and wait and wait, and we wonder why our life isn't changing. Here is the truth. Motivation follows action, not the other way around. You do not wait to feel motivated to do the thing. You do the thing, and then the motivation shows up. Every single person who has ever built something meaningful will tell you the same story if you press them hard enough. They started before they were ready. They wrote the first terrible chapter. They made the first embarrassing sales call. They posted the first awkward video. And then, after they started, the momentum came, the clarity came, the confidence came. You cannot think your way into action. You can only act your way into a better way of thinking. There's a concept in psychology called activation energy, the minimum amount of energy required to start a reaction. The hardest part of any difficult task is not the task itself. It's starting, getting out of rest, overcoming the inertia of where you currently are. So the wisdom here is simple and brutal. Make starting smaller, not easier, smaller. So small it's almost ridiculous. The person who wants to run a marathon doesn't start by running 10 miles. They put on the shoes. That's it. They commit to putting on the shoes and walking to the end of the driveway. And something almost magical happens, because once the shoes are on, once the body is in motion, the activation energy is gone. The reaction has started. Most of the time, the walk to the end of the driveway turns into a mile, then 2, then 5. Don't wait to feel like doing the great thing. Do a tiny version of it right now, in this moment. Motion creates emotion. Action creates motivation. The fire you're waiting for, you have to build it yourself. And you build it one small, deliberate, imperfect action at a time. The cost of comfort. I want to say something that might make you uncomfortable, and I want you to really hear it. Comfort is the enemy of the life you want. Not failure, not mistakes, not hard times. Comfort. Because failure teaches you. Mistakes redirect you. Hard times forge you. But comfort? Comfort just keeps you exactly where you are while time moves on around you. We are living in the most comfortable era in human history. We have heat, food, entertainment, connection, all available at the press of a button. We can spend an entire life consuming, reacting, scrolling, watching, and it feels fine. It doesn't hurt. Nothing goes wrong. But nothing grows either. Here's what I want you to understand about growth. It is physiologically uncomfortable. Literally. When you stretch a muscle beyond its current capacity, there is discomfort. When your brain builds new neural pathways, when you're learning something genuinely new, it requires effort, friction, what we sometimes call desirable difficulty. The discomfort is not a signal that something is wrong. It's a signal that something is happening.
When you feel the anxiety before a hard conversation, when you feel the awkwardness of learning a new skill, when you feel the fear before you make a bold move, that is the feeling of your capacity expanding. That is the sensation of your potential becoming real. The most successful people I've ever studied, read about, or spoken with don't have a higher tolerance for comfort. They have a higher tolerance for discomfort. They've trained themselves deliberately over time to move toward the uncomfortable thing rather than away from it. They've made a trade. They've given up the comfort of now for the possibility of something extraordinary later. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you are making a trade in the other direction. You are giving up something extraordinary later for a slightly easier now. I'm not saying suffer. I'm not saying punish yourself. I'm saying notice where you are choosing comfort at the cost of growth and choose differently. Even once, even today.
Find one place where you've been avoiding the uncomfortable thing and do it anyway. The muscle of discomfort tolerance grows exactly the same way every other muscle grows. You stress it, you recover. You come back slightly stronger. You stress it again. What would your life look like in 10 years if every week you did the uncomfortable thing you've been avoiding? What would you have built? What would you have learned? Who would you have become? That person is not an impossibility. That person is just on the other side of your comfort zone. The stories we tell ourselves. Every human being is walking around with a narrative, a story, a deeply held set of beliefs about who they are, what they deserve, what's possible for them, and why things have happened the way they've happened. Most people never examine this story. They don't even know it's there. It just runs in the background, like an operating system, shaping every decision, every relationship, every ambition. But here's the thing about your story. It was written by other people, your parents, your teachers, your early experiences, the first time someone laughed at your idea, the first time you were told you weren't smart enough, talented enough, pretty enough, from the right background, the first time you tried something and failed and someone said, "See, that's just not for you." Those moments wrote code, and that code has been running ever since. And the most dangerous part? It feels true. The story feels like reality. The belief that I'm not the kind of person who succeeds doesn't feel like a belief, it feels like an observation. It feels like looking in a mirror and describing what you see, but it's not reality. It's a story. A very convincing story, but a story nonetheless. Here's how you begin to rewrite it. First, you identify the narrative. You ask yourself, honestly, vulnerably, what do I believe about myself that might be limiting what I allow myself to do? What story am I telling about money, relationships, success, my own capabilities? Don't rush this. Sit with it. Write it down. Second, you trace the story back to its source. Where did this belief come from? Who gave it to you? Was that person right? Were they qualified to make that judgment? Were they perhaps passing on their own limiting story without even knowing it? Third, you find the counter evidence. For every "I'm not creative," there was a moment in your life when you were. For every "I always fail," there are small wins you've discounted or forgotten. The brain has a negativity bias. It holds on to painful memories more tightly than positive ones. So you have to actively look for the counter evidence. Gather it deliberately. Fourth, and this is the hardest step, you start telling a different story. Not a delusional one, not "I'm the best and nothing can stop me," but a more accurate, more honest, more generous story. One that says, "I have struggled, and I am still here. I have failed, and I have learned. I don't yet know how to do this, and I'm capable of figuring it out." You don't rewrite your story once. You rewrite it every day, in every small choice. Every time you act in alignment with who you want to be instead of who you've been told you are, you add a new sentence to the new story. And slowly, not overnight, but slowly and surely, the new story becomes the true story.
The discipline of attention. In the modern world, your attention is the most valuable thing you have. Not your time, your attention. Because time spent distracted is not time at all. It's just duration.
minutes passing, while you scroll, react, consume, but produce nothing, build nothing, become nothing more than you already are. There is a war being fought for your attention right now. Billion-dollar companies are spending billions of dollars to engineer systems that keep your eyes, your thoughts, and your emotions engaged with their platforms. Every notification, every like, every algorithmically curated piece of outrage or beauty or entertainment is a carefully designed hook. And most of us have surrendered. We've handed over the most valuable resource we have to systems that profit from our distraction. What does this have to do with mindset and success? Everything. Every great achievement in human history required deep, sustained, focused attention. The book was written a page at a time. The business was built a problem at a time. The skill was developed a practice session at a time. Deep work, focused effort, uninterrupted thought. That capacity, the capacity for deep, focused, uninterrupted work, is becoming rare, which means it's becoming more valuable. If you can train yourself to sit with a single task, to resist the pull of distraction, to give your full mind to one thing for an extended period of time, you will have a capability that most people have lost. And that capability compounds. Every hour of deep work builds on the last. The understanding deepens. The skill sharpens. The output improves. The most successful people I know guard their attention like it's their most precious resource, because it is. They have systems. They work in blocks of focused time. They keep their phone out of reach. They say no to things that fragment their attention. Not because they're antisocial or ruthless, but because they understand that where your attention goes, your life goes. Here's a practice. For the next 7 days, do 1 hour of completely uninterrupted, deeply focused work on the thing that matters most to you. No phone, no notifications, no background noise. Just you and the work. 1 hour. See what you produce. See how it feels. See what happens to your clarity, your confidence, your sense of momentum. Your attention is the paintbrush. Your life is the canvas. Where you point it is the painting you get. The power of environment. Now, I want to talk about something that most people don't consider when they're trying to change their minds and change their lives. Environment. We think of personal development as an inside job. Change your thoughts, change your life, develop discipline, build willpower. And all of that is true, but it's only half the equation, because your environment shapes your thinking in ways you're not even aware of. The people around you, the spaces you inhabit, the media you consume, the conversations you participate in. They're all constantly writing your thoughts before you even have them. You can have the strongest mindset in the world and still be slowly eroded by an environment that doesn't support who you're trying to become. Think about this. Studies show that if your close friend becomes obese, your likelihood of becoming obese increases by 57%. Not because they're doing anything to you deliberately, but because they change what you see as normal, what's acceptable, what's expected.
Now flip that. If your close friends are ambitious, curious, growth-oriented, disciplined, if they're building things and learning things and stretching themselves, that becomes your normal too. Their standard becomes your floor. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your environment. This is not a command to abandon your current relationships, but it is a call to be honest about what your environment is doing to your growth. Are the people around you expanding what you believe is possible, or are they quietly confirming that the ceiling is low? Are your conversations energizing you and challenging you, or are they keeping you comfortable and small? You may not be able to immediately change who you spend time with, but you can add. You can start seeking out people who are doing the things you want to do. You can read their books, listen to their podcasts, join communities where they gather. You can begin to build an environment that pulls you upward. And the physical environment matters too. Your desk, your room, the order or chaos around you, the visual cues you surround yourself with. These things affect your state. A cluttered space produces a cluttered mind. Not because the universe says so, but because your brain processes what it sees, and that processing takes energy. Design your environment for the person you're becoming. Put what you want to do in view. Remove what distracts you. Create spaces that cue the behavior you want. Your environment is a silent mentor. Make sure it's teaching you what you want to learn. Failure is the curriculum. I need to say this plainly because it's one of the most consistently misunderstood ideas in the entire conversation about success. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is the curriculum of success. Every person you admire, every entrepreneur, artist, athlete, leader, has a failure story, usually many failure stories. And in almost every case, those failures were not detours from the path. They were the path. Because here's what failure does that nothing else can do. It gives you accurate information. Theory is beautiful. Planning is necessary. Visualization has its place. But only failure, only the experience of trying something and having it not work, gives you the exact, specific, detailed feedback you need to get better. The first business teaches you what the second business needs to be. The first draft shows you what the final version requires. The first hard conversation reveals the gap in your communication skills that you didn't know was there. You cannot get this from reading. You cannot get it from planning. You can only get it from doing and failing and looking honestly at what happened. The problem is not failure. The problem is our relationship with failure. Most people treat failure as a verdict, as a judgment, as proof of their deepest fear that they are not enough. And so they either avoid trying things that might fail, or when they do fail, they collapse under the weight of it and stop. Successful people have a different relationship with failure. They treat it like data. That didn't work. What can I learn? What does this tell me? What do I do differently next time? Not I am a failure, but that failed. What's next? This is not a naturally easy thing to do. It requires practice. It requires, especially at the beginning, a conscious reframing every time something doesn't go as planned.
But here's the paradox. The faster you fail, the faster you learn. The faster you learn, the faster you succeed. The person who has tried 20 things and failed at 19 has more wisdom, more resilience, more real-world insight than the person who planned the same one thing for 3 years and never started. Fail faster, learn harder, begin again. That is the curriculum, and it's the only one that graduates students into real mastery. Patience, the underrated superpower. We live in an age of instant everything. Instant delivery, instant communication, instant entertainment, instant feedback. And this has done something to our relationship with time. It has compressed our expectations. We want the results now. We want to see the return on our investment of effort immediately, or we conclude that it isn't working. But almost everything that's truly worth having takes longer than we want it to. The body you want, the business that's truly sustainable, the relationships that are genuinely deep, the mastery that makes you excellent at something. These things are built over years, sometimes decades, not because the universe is cruel, but because that's just how complexity develops. There's a concept called the long game, and most people aren't playing it because it's invisible in the short term. If you invest an hour a day into learning a skill, in a week you've put in 7 hours. That's noticeable but not traumatic. In a month, you've put in 30 hours, getting somewhere. In a year, you've put in 365 hours. You're approaching genuine competence. In 5 years, you've invested nearly 2,000 hours. You're an expert. You're in the top few % of people who have ever tried to learn that thing. But none of that is visible in week 1. In week 1, you just feel like a beginner. And most people stop in week 1 because they can't yet see what week 260 looks like. Patience is not passive. It's not sitting and waiting and hoping. It is trusting the compound curve. It is doing the work today, knowing that today's work is building the foundation that tomorrow's results will stand on, even though you can't see the building yet. The bamboo plant spends its first 5 years building a root system underground. You see nothing. Then, in year 6, it grows 90 feet in 60 days. If you'd stopped watering it in year 3 because nothing was happening above the ground, you'd have killed something extraordinary just before its moment of eruption. You are often in the root building phase. Keep watering. Be patient with the process. Be impatient with your excuses. Those are two different things, and keeping them separate is part of the art. Gratitude as a competitive advantage. This might sound soft, but stay with me. Gratitude is not just a nice feeling. It is not just a spiritual practice or a way to feel better about a hard life. Gratitude is a cognitive advantage that directly affects your performance, your decision-making, your relationships, and your ability to see opportunity. Here's the science of it. The brain cannot be in a state of gratitude and a state of threat simultaneously. Gratitude activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode, which opens up executive function, creativity, and long-term thinking. Threat activates the sympathetic nervous system, the fight-or-flight mode, which narrows focus and shuts down creativity and long-term thinking.
When you spend most of your mental energy in a state of lack, focusing on what you don't have, what's not working, what you're missing, you are, neurologically speaking, in a mild but persistent state of threat. And that state diminishes your ability to think clearly, connect meaningfully, and spot the opportunities that are right in front of you. Gratitude is the switch that moves you out of that state. And here's the thing that changes everything. You can choose gratitude. Not because your life is perfect, not because there isn't pain or difficulty or injustice, but because there is always something that is real and good and present if you look for it. The practice is simple. Every day, morning, night, both, find 3 things that are genuinely true and genuinely good. Specific things, not I'm grateful for my family, but I'm grateful for the way my daughter laughed this morning. Not I'm grateful for my health, but I'm grateful that I could walk to the kitchen and make coffee today. Specific, real, present. What you practice perceiving, you get better at perceiving. The person who practices gratitude every day gets better at finding things to be grateful for. And the mind that is practiced at finding good, that sees opportunity, connection, and abundance as the default frame, that mind is going to navigate life, business, and relationships differently than a mind that sees scarcity by default. This is not delusion. You're not denying what's hard. You're just refusing to let the hard thing consume all the available space in your attention. Gratitude creates room, and in that room, extraordinary things can happen. The question that changes everything. I want to leave you with a question, not an answer, a question. Because the right question is more powerful than almost any answer. The right question changes what you look for, and what you look for, you find. The question is this: who do I need to become? Not what do I need to do, but who do I need to become to have the life I most deeply want? Not what habits do I need, not what strategy should I follow, who do I need to become? Because when you answer that question honestly, when you sit with it and really let it land, it gives you a North Star. It gives you a person to grow toward. And every day, every decision, every choice of comfort or growth becomes a question of whether you're moving toward that person or away from them. Success is not a destination. It is a direction. And the direction is always forward, always toward the truest, fullest, most capable version of who you are. You don't have to become that person all at once. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it figured out. You just have to take one more step in the right direction today, right now, with what you have and where you are. That's enough. That's more than enough. That's everything. If you made it this far, I want to say something to you directly. The fact that you're watching this, the fact that you seek this kind of content, that you hunger for growth and understanding and a bigger life, that says something about you. Most people won't do this.
Most people will stay comfortable. You're already different. Honor that. Now go take one action, based on something that moved you today. Don't wait, don't plan it to death. Just take one step in the direction of the person you're becoming. And if this spoke to you, if something here shifted something
in you, even slightly, please subscribe to this channel. Hit the bell, share this with someone who needs to hear it, because every week I bring you conversations like this one. Conversations that go deep, that take the real questions seriously, that treat you like the capable, intelligent, growth-hungry person you are. Subscribe, because the best of this is still ahead. I'll see you in the next one.
Most people think attractiveness is about looks. They spend years chasing better clothes, expensive accessories, social approval, and endless attention from others. Yet despite all of that effort, they still feel invisible, insecure, and dissatisfied. The truth is that attraction goes much deeper than appearance. Some people walk into a room and immediately command respect without saying a word. Others have average looks yet seem naturally magnetic. People listen to them, trust them, and remember them. Why? Because true attractiveness is not built on appearance alone. It is built on character. The ancient Stoics understood something that modern society often forgets. Your habits, your mindset, your discipline, your emotional control, and your purpose determine how people see you. A person who constantly seeks validation becomes less attractive. A person who is comfortable with themselves becomes more attractive. A person who complains, reacts emotionally, and lacks direction loses influence. A person who remains calm, focused, and disciplined naturally earns respect. Today, we are going to explore the Stoic principles that make a person genuinely attractive. Not attractive for a moment. Not attractive on social media. But attractive in a way that creates lasting respect and admiration. By the end of this video, you will understand how to strengthen your mind, improve your presence, control your emotions, and become someone whose value speaks for itself. And if you're serious about self-mastery, discipline, and Stoic wisdom, subscribe to Stoic Ascension and join a community dedicated to becoming stronger every single day. Now, let's begin. Chapter 1. Attraction begins within. Before anyone notices your appearance, they feel your energy. People can sense confidence. People can sense insecurity. People can sense desperation. And people can sense self-respect. The greatest mistake most people make is believing that attractiveness starts on the outside. They focus entirely on changing their appearance while ignoring the thoughts that shape their behavior. The Stoics taught that everything begins in the mind. Your thoughts influence your actions. Your actions create your habits. Your habits build your character. And your character determines your reputation. If you constantly compare yourself to others, you will appear insecure. If you constantly seek approval, you will appear needy. If you constantly doubt yourself, that doubt will eventually become visible in your words, posture, and actions. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that the quality of life depends on the quality of thoughts. This principle applies directly to attractiveness. A disciplined mind creates a disciplined life. A disciplined life creates confidence. And confidence creates attraction. The first step is learning to stop chasing validation. Validation is addictive. Many people spend years trying to impress strangers who will never truly matter. They seek approval through appearance, possessions, achievements, and attention. But the more approval you seek, the more power you give away. The Stoic chooses a different path. Instead of asking, "Do they like me?" he asks, "Do I respect myself?" That single shift changes everything. Because when self-respect becomes your foundation, confidence follows naturally. You stop performing. You stop pretending. You stop seeking permission to be yourself. And that authenticity becomes magnetic. True attractiveness begins when you become comfortable in your own skin. Not perfect, not superior, simply comfortable. That comfort cannot be purchased. It cannot be faked. It must be earned through self-mastery. And that journey starts within. Chapter 2. Build a body that reflects discipline. In today's world, many people want the rewards of discipline without practicing discipline itself. They want confidence without effort. They want respect without sacrifice. They want attraction without self-improvement. The Stoics understood a truth that remains relevant thousands of years later. The body is a reflection of the mind. A weak mind often creates weak habits. Strong habits create a strong body. And a strong body communicates something powerful before you ever speak a word. When someone sees a person who takes care of themselves, they immediately notice something different. Not because that person is perfect. Not because that person has a model's appearance. But because discipline leaves clues. The way you stand. The way you walk. The way you carry yourself. The energy you bring into a room. All of it tells a story. Most people underestimate the importance of physical discipline. The Stoics never viewed the body as something to worship. But they also understood that neglecting it was a form of self-disrespect. Your body is the vehicle through which you experience life. If you constantly abuse it, ignore it, and neglect it, you are weakening your ability to live well. Attractiveness begins to increase when you start honoring your body through consistent action. Not extreme action. Not obsession. Consistency. The modern world loves shortcuts. People search endlessly for hacks. The perfect supplement. The perfect routine. The perfect secret. Yet the truth remains simple. Train regularly. Sleep properly. Eat with discipline. Move every day. Repeat. There is nothing glamorous about consistency. That is why so few people practice it. Most people wait until they feel motivated. The Stoic acts whether motivation is present or not. Marcus Aurelius did not wake up every morning feeling inspired. Neither did the great leaders, athletes, or builders throughout history. They acted because they understood something important. Discipline creates freedom. Every workout completed when you didn't feel like training strengthens your character. Every healthy decision strengthens self-respect. Every promise you keep to yourself increases confidence. And confidence is one of the most attractive qualities a human being can possess. Think about it. Why are disciplined individuals often admired? Because discipline signals reliability. It signals commitment. It signals responsibility. People naturally trust those who demonstrate control over themselves. Attraction is not just physical. It is psychological. People are drawn to strength. Not just physical strength. Mental strength. Emotional strength. Character strength. Physical discipline helps build all three. This is why exercise is about more than appearance. It teaches resilience. It teaches patience. It teaches delayed gratification. Every time you train, you are teaching your mind that temporary discomfort is acceptable. You are teaching yourself not to quit when things become difficult. And that lesson extends far beyond the gym. It affects your career, your relationships, your finances, your goals, everything. The Stoics frequently practiced voluntary discomfort. They intentionally exposed themselves to challenges. Not because suffering was enjoyable, but because hardship builds resilience. Modern comfort has made many people fragile. A small inconvenience ruins their day. A little criticism destroys their confidence. A minor setback causes them to abandon their goals. The disciplined individual develops a different mindset. Challenges become opportunities. Obstacles become teachers. Difficulties become training grounds. This mental shift is incredibly attractive. People admire those who remain steady under pressure. They admire people who continue moving forward when circumstances become difficult. Another overlooked aspect of attractiveness is posture. Posture communicates confidence before words ever leave your mouth. Look around. Many people walk through life looking defeated. Their shoulders collapse forward. Their eyes stay fixed on the ground. Their energy appears drained. The Stoic posture is different. Head up, shoulders back, calm expression, purposeful movement, not arrogance, not intimidation, quiet confidence. The way you carry yourself changes how others perceive you. More importantly, it changes how you perceive yourself. When you stand tall, You remind yourself that you are capable. You remind yourself that you deserve respect. You remind yourself to show up fully in life. Physical appearance also reflects self-respect. This does not mean chasing perfection. Perfection does not exist. It means presenting yourself well. Maintain good hygiene. Dress with intention. Take care of your grooming. Respect your appearance. Not to impress others. To honor yourself. Many people mistakenly believe that caring about their appearance is vanity. The Stoics would disagree. Vanity is obsession. Self-respect is responsibility. There is a difference. A disciplined person understands that appearance is a form of communication. It tells the world how seriously you take yourself. If you neglect yourself completely, people notice. If you care for yourself appropriately, people notice that too. One creates doubt. The other creates respect. Another trait that dramatically increases attractiveness is energy. People are attracted to energy. Not loud energy. Not chaotic energy. Purposeful energy. The energy of someone who knows where they are going. The energy of someone who values their time. The energy of someone who has goals larger than comfort. This energy cannot be faked. Comes from action. Comes from progress. It comes from living in alignment with your values. Every day that you improve yourself, you build momentum. And momentum creates presence. When people see someone actively building a better life, they notice. Not because that person demands attention, but because progress naturally attracts attention. The most attractive people are often the least concerned with being attractive. They are focused on growth, focused on purpose, focused on becoming better than they were yesterday. And ironically, that focus makes them magnetic. As the Stoics taught, your responsibility is not to control how others see you. Your responsibility is to become the best version of yourself. When you focus on that mission, attraction becomes a byproduct, not the goal. The body becomes stronger. The mind becomes sharper. The character becomes deeper. And the presence becomes undeniable. In the next chapter, we will explore one of the most attractive qualities a person can develop: the ability to master their emotions. Chapter 3. Master your emotions. There is a reason why some people instantly command respect when they enter a room. It is not always because they are the smartest. It is not always because they are the strongest. And it is rarely because they are the loudest. It is because they possess something that is becoming increasingly rare in today's world: emotional control. The Stoics believe that your emotions should serve you, not control you. Most people live the opposite way. A stranger's opinion ruins their day. A minor setback destroys their motivation. A disagreement becomes an emotional battle. A criticism becomes a personal attack. As a result, they spend their lives reacting instead of leading. Nothing weakens attractiveness faster than emotional instability. When someone loses control over every small inconvenience, people begin to lose confidence in them. Why? Because instability creates uncertainty. People trust calm people. People respect calm people. People are naturally drawn to calm people. This is why emotional mastery is one of the most attractive traits a person can develop. Imagine two individuals facing the same problem. The first person immediately panics. They complain. They blame others. They become overwhelmed by emotion. The second person pause. They assess the situation. They remain calm. They focus on solutions. Who appears stronger? Who appears more capable? Who appears more attractive? The answer is obvious. The Stoics understood that while external events cannot always be controlled, your response can. This simple principle changes everything. You cannot control criticism. You cannot control rejection. You cannot control setbacks. You cannot control other people's opinions. But you can control how you respond. That response determines your power. One of the biggest mistakes people make is allowing others to control their emotional state. Someone insults them. Their mood changes. Someone ignores them. Their confidence disappears. Someone disagrees with them. Their peace is destroyed. In reality, they have handed over control of their emotions to strangers. The Stoic refuses to do this. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that other people's actions belong to them. Your response belongs to you. This mindset creates freedom. You stop being controlled by external circumstances. You stop living at the mercy of other people's behavior. You begin living according to your own principles. And that kind of inner strength is incredibly attractive. People are drawn to those who remain calm under pressure. Think about leaders throughout history. The greatest leaders were not always the most talented. Often, they were simply the calmest during chaos. When everyone else panicked, they remained steady. When everyone else reacted emotionally, they thought clearly. When everyone else lost focus, they maintained direction. Calmness creates confidence. Confidence creates trust. Trust creates influence. This is why emotional control is a form of power. Not power over others. Power over yourself. And self-mastery is the foundation of Stoicism. Another important lesson is learning not to take everything personally. Most people waste enormous amounts of energy worrying about things that have little to do with them. Someone makes a rude comment. Someone fails to acknowledge them. Someone behaves negatively. Immediately, they assume it is personal. The Stoics saw things differently. They understood that people act according to their own struggles, fears, beliefs, and experiences. Often, another person's behavior reveals more about them than it does about you. Once you understand this, life becomes much easier. You stop carrying unnecessary emotional burdens. You stop fighting battles that do not matter. You preserve your peace. And peace is attractive. There is something powerful about a person who cannot be easily provoked. Someone insults them. They remain composed. Someone doubts them. They continue working. Someone criticizes them. They learn what they can and move forward. This level of self-control creates an aura of strength, not because they are emotionless, but because they are disciplined. The Stoics never taught people to suppress emotions completely. They taught people to understand emotions, to observe them, to question them, to prevent emotions from controlling decisions. That distinction is important. Being emotional is human. Being controlled by emotion is dangerous. Many people ruin relationships, opportunities, and goals because they act in moments of anger. A single emotional reaction can create consequences that last for years. The Stoic learns to pause. That pause changes everything. In the space between an event and your reaction lies your power. A calm response often accomplishes more than an emotional one. Another quality that increases attractiveness is resilience. Life will disappoint you. People will leave. Plans will fail. Goals will take longer than expected. These experiences are unavoidable. The question is not whether hardship will come. The question is how you will respond when it arrives. Most people break under pressure. The Stoic grows stronger because of it. Every setback becomes training. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to develop character. Every obstacle becomes a lesson. Over time, this mindset creates extraordinary resilience. And resilient people possess a quiet confidence that others naturally admire. Why? Because they know they can survive difficulties. They know they can handle adversity. They know their strength is not dependent on circumstances. That certainty becomes visible. People can feel it. Another emotional trap that destroys attractiveness is desperation. Desperation pushes people to seek constant approval. Constant attention. Constant reassurance. Constant validation. The problem is that desperation communicates insecurity. The Stoics encouraged self-sufficiency, not isolation, not arrogance. Self-sufficiency. The ability to remain emotionally stable even when external validation is absent. When your happiness depends entirely on other people, you become vulnerable. When your happiness comes from your own values and actions, you become powerful. People respect those who can stand on their own. People admire those who do not constantly seek approval. People are attracted to those who possess inner stability. This is one of the greatest secrets of attractiveness. The less you chase validation, the more confident you become. The more confident you become, the more attractive you appear. The Stoic understands that true confidence comes from character, not compliments, not attention, not popularity. Character. A person who knows they are disciplined does not need constant praise. A person who knows they are improving does not need constant approval. A person who knows their worth does not need to prove it to everyone. This quiet confidence is rare, and rare qualities are valuable. As you continue your journey toward becoming more attractive, remember this. Your emotions are not enemies. They are signals. Learn from them. Understand them. But never allow them to control your life. Master your emotions. Protect your peace. Maintain your composure. Because in a world filled with reaction, calmness becomes a superpower. And few things are more attractive than a person who remains calm when everyone else loses control. Before we continue, if you're enjoying this journey towards self-mastery and Stoic wisdom, subscribe to Stoic Ascension and join a community dedicated to becoming stronger, wiser, and more disciplined every day. Now let's move to the next lesson. Chapter 4. Speak less, listen more. In a world where everyone wants to be heard, very few people have learned the power of silence. People interrupt. People argue. People rush to prove themselves. People speak simply to fill empty space. Yet the Stoics understood something most people never learn. The strongest person in the room is often the one who speaks the least. Silence has power, not because silence is mysterious, but because silence creates control. Every unnecessary word gives away energy. Every unnecessary argument steals peace. Every unnecessary explanation weakens presence. Many people talk too much because they are trying to convince others of their value. They constantly explain themselves, constantly defend themselves, constantly seek approval. The Stoic takes a different path. He understands that true value rarely needs advertisement. A lion does not announce itself. Its presence is enough. The same principle applies to people. The more secure you become, the less you feel the need to prove yourself. This is one of the most attractive qualities a person can develop. The ability to remain comfortable in silence. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how confident people rarely dominate conversations? They do not rush to speak first. They do not constantly seek attention. They do not force their opinions into every discussion. Instead, they observe. They listen. They think. And when they finally speak, people pay attention. Why? Because their words carry weight. The Stoics believed words should be used carefully. Every word should serve a purpose. Most people use words emotionally. The Stoic uses words intentionally. This difference changes everything. One of the quickest ways to lose respect is to speak without thinking. A moment of anger can produce words that damage relationships for years. A moment of pride can produce promises you cannot keep. A moment of insecurity can reveal weaknesses that should have remained private. This is why wisdom often begins with restraint. The ability to pause before speaking. The ability to think before reacting. The ability to remain silent when silence is the better choice. Silence is not weakness. Silence is control. And control is attractive. Many people fear silence because silence forces them to confront themselves. When there is no noise, no distraction, no conversation, no validation, they must face their own thoughts. The Stoics welcomed this opportunity. They believed self-reflection was essential for growth. A person who cannot sit quietly with their own mind will always struggle to find peace. And without peace, confidence becomes impossible. One reason listening is so powerful is because it makes people feel understood. Most people are not listening. They are simply waiting for their turn to talk. They are preparing responses, planning arguments, thinking about themselves. As a result, genuine listening has become rare, and rare qualities are valuable. When you truly listen, that people notice. They feel respected. They feel valued. They feel heard. This creates stronger relationships than clever words ever could. People remember how you make them feel, not how much you talked. The Stoics understood that knowledge often enters through listening. The person who speaks constantly learns very little. The person who listens gains information, perspective, and wisdom. Every conversation becomes an opportunity. Every interaction becomes a lesson. This mindset creates tremendous growth over time. Another benefit of speaking less is that it protects your energy. Arguments consume energy. Drama consumes energy. Gossip consumes energy. The Stoic recognizes this and chooses carefully where to invest attention. Not every opinion deserves a response. Not every insult deserves a reaction. Not every battle deserves participation. This lesson alone can transform your life. Imagine how much peace you would gain if you stopped responding to every criticism. Imagine how much energy you would save if you stopped defending yourself to people determined to misunderstand you. Imagine how much progress you could make if you redirected that energy toward your goals. The Stoics practiced exactly this. They focused on what mattered. They ignored what did not. That discipline created extraordinary strength. There is also a powerful connection between silence and confidence. Insecurity talks. Confidence acts. Insecurity seeks attention. Confidence seeks growth. Insecurity wants recognition. Confidence wants results. This is why truly confident individuals rarely feel the need to announce their plans. They simply begin working. Many people make the mistake of sharing every goal before taking action. They tell everyone about their future success. They describe their dreams in detail. They seek encouragement before earning results. Then when challenges appear, motivation disappears. The Stoic does the opposite. He works quietly. He improves quietly. He builds quietly. And eventually the results speak for him. Results are always louder than words. The strongest response to doubt is success. The strongest response to criticism is progress. The strongest response to negativity is growth. None of these require endless talking. They require action. Another lesson worth remembering is that mystery creates value. When people know everything about you, there is little left to discover. Many people overshare their plans, emotions, struggles, and achievements. As a result, they diminish their own presence. The Stoic maintains healthy boundaries, not because he is secretive, but because he understands that not everything needs to be shared. Some victories are best celebrated quietly. Some goals are best pursued privately. Some thoughts are best kept to yourself. This creates a sense of depth, and depth is attractive. People are naturally curious about individuals who maintain dignity and restraint, not because they are hiding, but because they are selective. Selective people appear valuable because they treat their attention as valuable. The same principle applies to social interactions. Speak clearly. Speak honestly. Speak with purpose. But avoid speaking unnecessarily. Let your words have weight. Let your silence have presence. Let your actions tell the story. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that people reveal their character through actions more than words. Anyone can make promises. Anyone can make claims. Anyone can create an impressive image. But character reveals itself through consistent behavior. This is why the Stoic focuses on becoming rather than appearing. He values substance over image, truth over performance, growth over attention. And over time, this creates genuine respect. The more you learn to listen, the more wisdom you gain. The more you learn to remain silent, the more control you develop. The more control you develop, the more confidence you build. And confidence built on self-mastery never fades. Before we continue, if you're committed to becoming stronger, wiser, and more disciplined, subscribe to Stoic Ascension and join thousands of people dedicated to mastering themselves through Stoic wisdom. In the next chapter, we'll explore one of the most misunderstood qualities in modern life: confidence without arrogance. Chapter 5. Confidence without arrogance. Confidence is one of the most attractive qualities a person can possess. Yet many people misunderstand what confidence actually is. Some mistake confidence for arrogance. Others mistake confidence for loudness. Others believe confidence is something you're either born with or without. The Stoics understood a deeper truth. Confidence is not something you inherit. Confidence is something you build, and it is built through action. Most people spend years trying to appear confident. The Stoic focuses on becoming confident. There is a massive difference. Appearing confident requires performance. Becoming confident requires growth. One is temporary. The other lasts a lifetime. Think about the people who constantly boast about themselves. They announce every achievement. They seek recognition for every success. They make sure everyone knows how important they are. At first glance, this may appear to be confidence, but often it is insecurity disguised as confidence. Why? Because truly confident people rarely need constant validation. They know who they are. They know what they have accomplished. They do not need endless applause to feel valuable. The Stoics believed that your opinion of yourself should matter more than the opinions of strangers. This principle creates genuine confidence. When your self-worth depends entirely on external approval, your confidence becomes fragile. One compliment lifts you up. One criticism tears you down. One rejection destroys your mood. You become emotionally dependent on other people. And dependence is weakness. The Stoic seeks independence, not isolation, not arrogance. Indépendance. The ability to maintain self-respect regardless of external circumstances. This is where true confidence begins. One of the fastest ways to build confidence is by keeping promises to yourself. Every time you say you will do something and actually do it, trust grows. You begin to trust your own word. You begin to trust your own discipline. You begin to trust your own ability. Most people underestimate how important this is. Imagine two individuals. The first constantly makes promises but never follows through. He says he will wake up early. He doesn't. He says he will exercise. He doesn't. He says he will start that project. He never begins. Over time, he stops trusting himself. Mistakes teach lessons. Lessons create wisdom. Wisdom strengthens confidence. Fear of mistakes often prevents people from living fully. The Stoic refuses to be paralyzed by uncertainty. He acts, learns, adjusts, continues. This mindset creates tremendous personal power. One of the greatest sources of confidence is purpose. People without purpose often seek approval. People with purpose seek progress. A clear mission changes everything. When you know what you're working toward, distractions lose power. Criticism loses power. Doubt loses power. You become focused. And focused individuals possess a unique attractiveness. Their energy feels different. Their presence feels different. Their priorities become clear. People are naturally drawn to those who live with direction. Not because they are perfect, but because they are committed. Purpose creates confidence. Confidence creates attraction. And attraction built on purpose lasts far longer than attraction built on appearance. Remember this. Confidence is not walking into a room believing you are better than everyone else. Confidence is walking into a room knowing you do not need to be better than anyone else. You simply need to be your best. That mindset creates freedom. That freedom creates peace. And that peace creates a quiet strength that others cannot ignore. Before we continue, if you're enjoying these lessons and want more Stoic wisdom, self-mastery, and personal growth content, subscribe to Stoic Ascension and join our growing community of disciplined individuals determined to become their strongest selves. In the next chapter, we'll explore a quality that separates average people from extraordinary ones. Purpose. Chapter 6. The Power of Purpose. There is a reason some people wake up every morning with energy, determination, and direction. And there is a reason others wake up feeling lost, distracted, and unmotivated. The difference is often purpose. Purpose gives life meaning. Purpose gives suffering value. Purpose gives discipline a reason. Without purpose, even small challenges feel overwhelming. With purpose, even difficult challenges become manageable. The Stoics understood this better than most. They believed every person has a role to fulfill, a responsibility, a mission, a duty. And when you discover that mission, everything begins to change. Most people spend their lives reacting to circumstances, reacting to social media, reacting to opinions, reacting to trends. As a result, they never develop direction. They drift wherever life takes them. The Stoic chooses a different path. Instead of reacting to life, he actively shapes it. He decides who he wants to become. He decides what values he will follow. He decides what kind of legacy he wishes to leave behind. This creates purpose. And purpose creates power. One of the greatest problems in modern society is distraction. People are constantly entertained, constantly stimulated, constantly occupied. Yet despite being busy, many feel empty. Why? Because activity is not the same as purpose. You can be busy all day and still make no meaningful progress. You can work constantly and still feel unfulfilled. Purpose gives your actions meaning. Without meaning, effort becomes exhausting. With meaning, effort becomes rewarding. Think about a ship at sea. Without a destination, every wave becomes a problem. Every storm becomes terrifying. Every change in direction creates confusion. But with a destination, even rough waters become manageable. Purpose works the same way. When you know where you're going, distractions lose their power. Criticism loses its power. Temporary setbacks lose their power. You remain focused on the destination. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that every day should be lived with intention. Not randomly, not carelessly, intentionally. Many people waste years because they never stop to ask themselves an important question. What am I building? What kind of life are you building? What kind of person are you becoming? What values guide your decisions? What legacy will remain after you're gone? Most people never ask these questions. The Stoic asks them regularly, because purpose is not something you accidentally discover. Purpose is something you deliberately create. Another reason purpose is attractive is because it creates certainty. People are naturally drawn to those who possess direction, not because those individuals are perfect, but because they know where they are going. There is something powerful about a person who wakes up with a mission. They move differently. They think differently. They carry themselves differently. Their focus becomes visible. Their commitment becomes visible. Their discipline becomes visible. Purpose transforms ordinary actions into meaningful actions. Waking up early becomes easier when you know why you're doing it. Training becomes easier when you know why you're doing it. Studying becomes easier when you know why you're doing it. Sacrifice becomes easier when it serves a greater purpose. Without purpose, discipline feels like punishment. With purpose, discipline becomes an investment. This is why many people fail to stay consistent. They focus entirely on the effort. They forget the mission. The Stoics always focused on the mission. They understood that temporary discomfort is easier to endure when connected to a meaningful objective. Purpose also protects you from seeking validation. Many people chase attention because they lack direction. They seek approval because they lack purpose. They become obsessed with what others think because they have not decided what they think about themselves. Purpose changes this. When your mission becomes clear, external approval becomes less important. You become less concerned with impressing people, more concerned with improving yourself, less concerned with appearing successful, more concerned with becoming successful, less concerned with attention, more concerned with progress. This shift is transformative. The most influential people throughout history were rarely obsessed with popularity. They were obsessed with purpose. Their mission mattered more than public opinion. Their values mattered more than temporary comfort. Their goals mattered more than short-term distractions. That is why they achieved extraordinary things. Purpose creates resilience. When difficult times arrive, and they always do, purpose keeps you moving forward. A person without purpose often quits when life becomes hard. A person with purpose continues despite hardship, because they understand something important. Pain is temporary. Purpose is lasting. The Stoics frequently reflected on mortality, not to become fearful, but to become focused. They understood that life is limited. Every day matters. Every hour matters. Every choice matters. This awareness creates urgency, not panic. Urgency. Become dangerously focused. There is a kind of focus that frightens people. Not because it is aggressive, not because it is loud, but because it is completely, utterly, unmovably locked in. The person who carries this kind of focus walks into a room and something shifts. They speak less. They observe more. They waste nothing. Not their time, not their energy, not their attention. And while everyone around them is distracted, scattered, overwhelmed by the noise of modern life, they are building. Quietly. Consistently. Unstoppably. This is what it means to become dangerously focused. And by the time this is over, you will know exactly how to become that person. Welcome to where ancient wisdom meets your modern life. The focus crisis nobody is talking about. We are living through the greatest attention crisis in human history, and almost nobody is treating it with the seriousness it deserves. The average person picks up their phone dozens of times a day without even deciding to. Notifications fire constantly. News cycles spin endlessly. Social media algorithms are engineered by some of the most brilliant minds on the planet, with one single goal: to keep your attention for as long as possible, at any cost. And they are winning. Because the average person today cannot sit with a single thought for more than a few minutes before reaching for distraction, cannot work on one thing deeply without interruption, cannot be present in a conversation without part of their mind drifting elsewhere. And here is the devastating consequence of that. A scattered mind cannot build anything great. A distracted life cannot produce anything lasting. A person who cannot control their attention cannot control their destiny. The Stoics saw attention as the most sacred resource a human being possesses. More valuable than money. More powerful than talent. More rare than intelligence. Because everything, every achievement, every relationship, every transformation begins with where you choose to place your attention. And right now, most people have surrendered that choice completely. What dangerous focus actually looks like. Let us be clear about what we mean when we say dangerously focused. We are not talking about obsession. We are not talking about ignoring your health, your relationships, your humanity in the pursuit of productivity. That is not focus. That is imbalance wearing the costume of ambition. Dangerous focus is something far more refined than that. It is the ability to be completely present in whatever you are doing, without the constant pull of elsewhere. It is working on your most important task with full mental engagement, not half your mind on the work and half scrolling through what everyone else is doing. It is having a conversation and actually listening, not waiting for your turn to speak while mentally composing your response. It is sitting with discomfort long enough to move through it, instead of immediately reaching for the nearest distraction. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present, not yesterday, not tomorrow. Not the notification on your phone. Not the opinion of someone across the world. The present. This moment. This task. This person. This breath. That is where your power lives. That is where everything real gets built." And the person who can consistently return to that present moment, who can anchor themselves there when everything around them is pulling them away, that person is genuinely dangerous in the best possible way. The enemy of your focus. Before you can build dangerous focus, you must clearly identify what is destroying it. And it is not just your phone. It goes much deeper than that. The first enemy is unresolved emotion. An anxious mind cannot focus. A grieving mind cannot focus. A mind carrying unspoken resentment, unprocessed fear, unexamined shame, cannot give its full attention to anything. Because those emotions are always running in the background, consuming mental bandwidth, pulling your attention inward at the exact moment you need it directed outward. This is why the Stoics placed such enormous emphasis on inner work, not as a spiritual luxury, but as a practical necessity. A clear mind is a focused mind, and a focused mind is a powerful mind. The second enemy is the need for constant stimulation. We have trained our brains to expect novelty every few seconds, and when reality does not deliver that novelty fast enough, we reach for our devices to supply it artificially. The result is a mind that has lost its capacity for depth, that schemes the surface of everything and goes deep into nothing. Deep work, the kind that produces extraordinary results, requires the ability to sit with something long enough to truly understand it, to wrestle with it, to go beneath the obvious layer and find what is hidden underneath. That capacity is being systematically destroyed by our consumption habits. The third enemy is lack of clarity. You cannot focus on something you have not clearly defined. Vague goals produce scattered effort. When you do not know precisely what you are working toward, your mind has no target, and a mind without a target wanders. This is why the most focused people in the world are almost always the most clear people in the world. They know exactly what they want. They know exactly why they want it. And that clarity acts like a magnetic force, pulling their attention back every time it drifts. The Stoic foundation of dangerous focus. The Stoics were perhaps the greatest practitioners of focused living the world has ever seen. And their approach was built on one foundational principle: do fewer things, but do them completely. In a world that celebrates busyness, that treats a packed schedule as a badge of honor, this philosophy is almost revolutionary. But think about what happens when you try to do everything. You do nothing well. You are always moving but never arriving. Always busy but never productive. Always occupied but never fulfilled. Marcus Aurelius, who managed an entire empire, wrote about the importance of doing less, not as an excuse for laziness, but as a strategy for excellence. He understood that attention is finite, that energy is finite, and that spreading either too thin guarantees mediocrity in everything. The person who commits fully to 3 things will always outperform the person who dabbles in 30. Seneca said, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere." That sentence should stop you completely. To be everywhere, pursuing every opportunity, saying yes to every request, consuming every piece of content, chasing every shiny possibility, is to be nowhere. Present nowhere. Excellent nowhere. Truly alive nowhere. Dangerous focus requires the courage to say no to almost everything, so you can say a full and complete yes to the things that actually matter. The art of deep work. There is a quality of work that most people have never experienced. Not because they are not capable of it, but because the conditions for it are increasingly rare. It is called deep work, and it is the state of giving your complete, undivided, fully engaged attention to a single cognitively demanding task for an extended period of time, without interruption. In this state, the quality of what you produce is not just better. It is categorically different from what a distracted mind can create. Problems that seemed unsolvable suddenly yield solutions. Connections between ideas become visible that were previously hidden. Creative breakthroughs happen not by accident, but as the natural result of sustained, focused engagement. This is where the truly great work of the world gets done. Not in the fragments between notifications, not in the shallow half-attention of a multitasking mind, but in the deep, quiet, focused hours where a human mind fully engages with something that matters. And here is the uncomfortable truth about that. Deep work is becoming increasingly rare at exactly the moment it is becoming increasingly valuable. The world is moving faster. Demands are increasing. Distractions are multiplying. Most people are becoming less capable of sustained focus with every passing year. Which means the person who deliberately builds this capacity, who protects their deep work hours the way a warrior protects sacred ground, is positioning themselves for a level of output and achievement that most people will never reach. This is one of the greatest competitive advantages available to any person alive today. And it costs nothing but discipline. Building your focus like a warrior. The Stoics did not stumble into focus. They built it deliberately, through daily practice, through consistent discipline, through the same commitment they brought to physical training, because they understood that the mind is a muscle. And like any muscle, it grows stronger through resistance, through challenge, through being pushed beyond its current comfort zone. Here is how to build yours. Start with 1 protected hour. Every day, before the world gets loud, protect 1 hour for your most important work. No phone, no messages, no interruptions, just you and the thing that matters most. This single practice, done consistently, will produce more meaningful results than any productivity system or time management tool ever invented. Because it is not about managing time. It is about protecting attention. Train your focus like an athlete trains their body. Begin with shorter focus sessions and build gradually. Start with focused work for a short period. Rest. Then return. Extend the duration over time as your capacity grows. This is not weakness. This is intelligent training. An athlete does not run a marathon on their first day of training. They build to it, systematically, patiently, with respect for the process. Your mind works the same way. Create an environment that supports focus. Your environment is either working for your focus or against it. There is no neutral ground. Phone in another room. Notifications off. A clean workspace. A clear intention for what you are working on and why it matters. The Stoics were deeply aware of how environment shapes behavior. They were intentional about where they spent their time, who they spent it with, and what they allowed into their immediate surroundings. You must be equally intentional. Use boredom as training. This sounds counterintuitive, but it is one of the most powerful focus-building practices available. When you feel the urge to reach for your phone, wait. Sit with the discomfort. Let your mind wander without feeding it stimulation. In that boredom, something important is happening. Your mind is learning to tolerate the absence of constant input. It is rebuilding its capacity for stillness, for depth, for the kind of quiet engagement that produces extraordinary work. Boredom is not the enemy of focus. It is the training ground for it. What you are really protecting. Here is the deeper truth beneath everything we have discussed. When you protect your focus, you are not just protecting your productivity. You are protecting your identity. Because what you give your attention to, consistently, over time, is what you become. The person who gives their attention primarily to other people's highlight reels on social media gradually becomes someone defined by comparison and inadequacy. The person who gives their attention primarily to outrage and conflict gradually becomes someone whose inner world is filled with anger and division. The person who gives their attention primarily to growth, to learning, to building, to creating, gradually becomes someone of genuine depth, genuine capability, genuine wisdom. Your attention is not just a resource. It is a sculptor, and it is sculpting you, right now, whether you are directing it consciously or not. The question is not whether your attention is shaping you. It always is. The question is, are you choosing the shape, the focused life, and what it produces? Let us talk about what actually happens when you commit to becoming dangerously focused. Not in theory, but in real, practical, lived experience. Your work improves. Not gradually, dramatically, because you are finally bringing your full mind to what you do instead of a fraction of it. Your relationships deepen, because you are finally fully present with the people you care about instead of physically there but mentally elsewhere. Your sense of purpose sharpens, because when you stop fragmenting your attention across 1,000 things, the things that truly matter to you become unmistakably clear. Your confidence grows, because confidence is built through completion, through finishing what you start, through showing yourself repeatedly that you can commit to something and see it through. And focused people finish things. Your peace expands, because a focused mind is a quieter mind. The internal noise, the endless mental chatter, the anxiety of being behind, the guilt of distraction, begins to fade when you are genuinely engaged with your life. And perhaps most importantly, your relationship with time transforms completely. You stop feeling like life is happening too fast, like you are always behind, like the days are slipping through your hands before you can grip them. Because when you are truly present, Truly focused, time expands. Moments become richer. Days feel fuller. And you begin to feel, perhaps for the first time in a long time, that you are actually living your life rather than watching it pass. The identity of the focused person. We need to talk about identity, because this is where lasting change actually lives. Habits come and go. Motivation rises and falls. Strategies get applied and abandoned. But identity, who you believe yourself to be at the deepest level, that is consistent. That is durable. That shapes behavior even when discipline is low and motivation has disappeared. So the question is not just, how do I become more focused? The deeper question is, am I becoming someone who is focused? Because when focus becomes part of who you are, not just something you do, it stops requiring so much effort. It stops feeling like a battle against your own impulses. It becomes natural. It becomes automatic. It becomes simply the way you move through the world. And that shift from doing focused things to being a focused person is the shift that changes everything. Begin to speak about yourself differently. Begin to make decisions the way a focused person would make them. Begin to protect your attention the way a focused person protects theirs. Not because you have fully arrived yet, but because you are choosing, right now, who you are becoming. And every choice made in alignment with that identity makes the next choice easier. This is how character is built. This is how the Stoics understood transformation. Not as a sudden event, but as a daily practice of becoming. The world needs your focused mind. Here is something worth sitting with. Your focus is not just about you. The work you are capable of producing when you are fully engaged, the problems you can solve, the lives you can touch, the things you can create and build and contribute, that matters beyond your own life. The world does not need more distracted, scattered, half-present people going through the motions. The world needs people who show up completely, who think deeply, who build with intention, who create from a place of genuine engagement and genuine care. Your focused mind is a gift, not just to yourself, but to everyone your life touches. Your children watching you work with discipline and presence. Your colleagues experiencing what genuine engagement looks like. Your community benefiting from the work only you, with your unique perspective and fully engaged attention, can produce. Do not underestimate what your focus makes possible, not just for your own ambitions, but for the world that needs what only you can offer when you are fully, completely, dangerously present. You came into this world with a mind capable of extraordinary things. Not ordinary things dressed up as extraordinary, but genuinely, deeply, remarkably extraordinary things. And that capacity has not gone anywhere. It has simply been buried, under the noise, under the distraction, under the endless fragmentation of modern life. But it is still there, waiting, ready. And it becomes available to you the moment you decide, truly decide, that your attention belongs to you, that your focus is sacred, that you will no longer give it away cheaply to everything and everyone competing for it. That decision, made today and remade every morning, is the beginning of a different kind of life. A life of depth, of meaning, of genuine achievement, of presence so complete that the people around you feel it, of work so focused that the results speak for themselves. This is what it means to become dangerously focused. This is the wisdom. If this moved something in you today, if you felt even one moment of recognition, one spark of truth, subscribe right now. Hit the notification bell. Share this with someone who is ready to reclaim their mind and build something extraordinary with it. Because the world is waiting for what you will produce when you finally stop being distracted and start being dangerous. We will see you in the next one. There are 4 things that determine the quality of your life more than almost anything else. Not your background, not your luck, not your circumstances, your mouth, your mood, your money, and your mind. Master these 4 things, you gain control over your future. Fail to master them, you will spend your life reacting to events instead of directing them. The ancient Stoics understood a truth that most people still ignore today. A person's greatest victory is not over other people. It is over themselves. Every word you speak shapes your reputation. Every mood you entertain shapes your actions. Every financial decision shapes your future. Every thought you allow into your mind shapes your destiny. The quality of your life is hidden within these 4 areas. In today's video, we will explore the 4 M's that every person must master to become disciplined, respected, financially responsible, emotionally resilient, and mentally strong. Before we begin, subscribe to Stoic Ascension and turn on notifications. If you're committed to self-mastery, discipline, wisdom, and becoming the strongest version of yourself, subscribe now. Every video on this channel is designed to help you think clearly, act wisely, and rise above the distractions that keep most people trapped. Now, let's begin with the first M, your mouth. Because many people destroy their future with their words long before they ever have the chance to build it. Chapter 1. Master your mouth. Of all the things a person must learn to control, the mouth is one of the most difficult. A single careless sentence can destroy a relationship. A single emotional outburst can ruin an opportunity. A single moment of uncontrolled speech can create years of regret. Yet most people spend their lives trying to control others while failing to control their own words. The Stoics understood something powerful. The person who cannot control their tongue cannot control their life. Think about how many problems begin with words. Arguments, broken friendships, damaged reputations, lost opportunities. Most of them start because someone spoke without thinking. They reacted instead of responding. They allowed emotion to speak before wisdom had a chance. The Stoic does the opposite. The Stoic understands that words are powerful. And because they are powerful, they must be used carefully. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that he had 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Listen more. Speak less. Observe first. Respond later. In today's world, silence has become rare. Everyone wants to speak. Everyone wants to be heard. Everyone wants to share their opinion. Very few people take the time to listen. But wisdom often grows in silence. The strongest person in the room is not always the loudest. Often, the strongest person is the one who remains calm while everyone else loses control. The person who can remain silent when insulted possesses a strength that most people never develop. Anyone can react. Anyone can argue. Anyone can shout. But remaining composed requires discipline. The first step to mastering your mouth is learning to pause. Before speaking, ask yourself, is it true? Is it necessary? Is it helpful? If the answer is no, silence may be the better choice. Many people create unnecessary problems because they feel compelled to say everything they think. Not every thought deserves to become words. Not every opinion needs to be expressed. Not every battle needs to be fought. A wise person understands this. They choose their words carefully because they understand the consequences. Another important lesson is avoiding gossip. Gossip is one of the fastest ways to weaken your character. When people constantly discuss the flaws of others, they rarely improve themselves. Their attention becomes focused outward instead of inward. The Stoics believed that your greatest task is improving yourself, not judging others, not criticizing others. Improving yourself. The energy spent discussing other people's lives could be used to improve your own. Ask yourself, how much of my conversation creates value? How much of it simply wastes time? Your answer may reveal more than you expect. Mastering your mouth also means learning how to handle criticism. Many people become defensive the moment someone challenges them. Their ego takes control. Their emotions take over. Their words become weapons. The Stoic responds differently. The Stoic listens. If the criticism is true, they learn from it. If the criticism is false, they ignore it. Either way, they remain calm. Why? Because their peace is not controlled by someone else's opinion. Imagine the power of reaching a point where insults no longer disturb you. Imagine being so secure in your character that criticism becomes information rather than an attack. That is the power of self-mastery. Your words also shape your identity. Pay attention to how you speak about yourself. Many people constantly repeat negative statements. I'm not good enough. I'll never succeed. I always fail. Over time, these words become beliefs. and those beliefs become reality. The mouth does not simply communicate your thoughts. It reinforces them. Speak with purpose. Speak with confidence. Speak with honesty. Your future is influenced by the words you repeatedly say. The next lesson is keeping your promises. Every promise is a statement. Every commitment is a word given. When your actions fail to match your words, trust begins to disappear. But when your actions consistently align with what you say, people begin to respect you. More importantly, you begin to respect yourself. Integrity starts with honoring your word. If you say you will do something, do it. If you make a commitment, keep it. Let your words carry weight. The Stoics valued character above reputation. And character is revealed through consistency. The final lesson is learning the power of encouragement. Words can destroy, but words can also build. A single encouraging sentence can change someone's day. A single kind word can restore hope.
A single conversation can inspire transformation.
Use your words wisely, not only to avoid harm, but to create good. The person who masters their mouth gains an incredible advantage in life. They avoid unnecessary conflict. They build stronger relationships. They earn trust. They maintain peace. Most importantly, they gain control over themselves. Remember this. The mouth is a servant. It was never meant to be the master. Control it.
Discipline it.
Master it. Because the quality of your words often determines the quality of your life. Before we move to the second M, subscribe to Stoic Ascension and turn on notifications. If you're committed to mastering yourself, building discipline, and developing the mindset of the ancient Stoics, subscribe now. Your journey to self-mastery has only just begun. Chapter 2. Master your mood. Most people believe their life is controlled by circumstances. The Stoics believed something different. They believed your life is largely controlled by how you respond to circumstances. And that response is determined by your mood. A person who cannot control their mood becomes a prisoner of their emotions. One bad comment ruins their day. One setback destroys their motivation. One disappointment causes them to give up. They live at the mercy of events. The Stoic lives differently. The Stoic understands that emotions are natural, but they should not be allowed to take control. Imagine a ship in the middle of a storm. The waves are powerful. The wind is fierce. The conditions are difficult. But what determines whether the ship survives is not the storm. It is the captain. Your mood is the captain of your daily life. If your mood controls you, every challenge becomes larger than it truly is. If you control your mood, even major difficulties become manageable. This is one of the greatest forms of self-mastery. The first lesson is understanding that feelings are temporary. Many people make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. They quit when they feel frustrated. They react when they feel angry. They give up when they feel discouraged. Then later, when the emotion passes, they regret their actions. The Stoics understood that emotions come and go like weather. A storm may appear today, but it will not last forever. The same is true for anger, fear, disappointment, frustration. These emotions are visitors. Do not allow temporary feelings to become permanent masters. The next lesson is separating events from interpretation. Two people can experience the same situation. One becomes angry. The other remains calm. One becomes discouraged. The other becomes motivated. Why? Because events do not automatically create emotions. Our interpretation of events creates emotions. This is one of the most powerful Stoic principles ever taught. You may not control what happens, but you control what it means. A setback can become a lesson. A failure can become training. A disappointment can become redirection. The meaning you assign to events determines your emotional response. Choose wisely. Another important aspect of mastering your mood is refusing to be easily offended. Modern society encourages people to react to everything. Every disagreement becomes personal. Every criticism becomes an attack. Every inconvenience becomes a crisis. The Stoics rejected this mindset. They understood that taking offense is often a choice. Not every comment deserves your attention. Not every opinion deserves your energy. Not every insult deserves a response. A strong person knows when to walk away. A wise person knows when silence is more powerful than reaction. Think about how much peace you would gain if you stopped allowing small things to control your emotions. The traffic, the rude comment, the unexpected delay, the criticism. Most of these things are temporary. Yet people allow them to ruin entire days. Do not surrender your peace so easily. Protect it, guard it, value it. Mastering your mood also means learning gratitude. Gratitude is one of the fastest ways to change your emotional state. When people focus only on what is missing, they become miserable. No achievement is enough. No success satisfies them. They constantly chase more while ignoring what they already possess. The Stoics practiced appreciation. They understood that much of what we take for granted today was once something we prayed for. Your health, your opportunities, your family, your ability to learn and grow. These are gifts many people overlook. Gratitude shifts your attention from scarcity to abundance. And where attention goes, emotions follow. Another key lesson is emotional discipline. Discipline is not only about actions. It is also about reactions. Can you remain calm when others lose control? Can you remain patient when things take longer than expected? Can you remain composed when life becomes difficult? This is true emotional strength. Not pretending emotions do not exist, but refusing to let them dominate your behavior. The Stoics were not emotionless. They simply refused to become slaves to emotion. That distinction changes everything. A person who masters their mood becomes incredibly resilient. Challenges no longer break them. Criticism no longer controls them. Delays no longer frustrate them. They remain steady because their inner state is not dependent on external conditions. This is freedom. Most people seek freedom in money, in status, in possessions. The Stoics sought freedom in self-control. And that freedom begins with emotional mastery. Every evening, ask yourself, what controlled my emotions today? Did I react or respond? Did I allow temporary feelings to guide my decisions? Did I protect my peace? These questions reveal where growth is needed. Remember this. A bad mood does not have to become a bad day. A bad day does not have to become a bad week. And a bad week does not have to become a bad life. You always have the power to choose your response. Master your mood. Control your reactions. Protect your peace. Because the person who controls their emotions gains a power that few people ever experience. Before we move to the third M, subscribe to Stoic Ascension and turn on notifications. If you're serious about mastering your emotions, strengthening your discipline, and developing the mindset of a true Stoic, subscribe now and join thousands of others on the path to self-mastery. Now, let's move to the third M, money. Chapter 3, Master Your Money. Money is one of the most misunderstood forces in life. Some people worship it. Some people fear it. Some people spend their entire lives chasing it. And others spend their lives complaining about not having enough of it. The Stoics viewed money differently. They did not see wealth as evil, nor did they see it as the ultimate goal. They understood that money is a tool. And like any tool, its value depends on the person using it. A hammer can build a house, or it can destroy one. Money works the same way. In the hands of a disciplined person, money creates freedom, opportunity, and security. In the hands of an undisciplined person, money creates stress, debt, and regret. That is why mastering money is not really about money. It is about mastering yourself. Many people believe their financial problems would disappear if they simply earned more. But higher income does not automatically create financial peace. There are people earning large amounts of money who are drowning in debt. And there are people with modest incomes who live with confidence and stability. The difference is not always income. The difference is discipline. The first lesson in mastering money is spending less than you earn. It sounds simple, yet countless people fail to do it. Every time their income increases, their lifestyle increases as well. The bigger the paycheck becomes, the bigger the expenses become. As a result, they remain trapped. More money enters. More money leaves. Nothing changes. The Stoic understands that freedom is not found in endless consumption. Freedom is found in self-control. The person who can control their desires gains power. The person who constantly needs more becomes a slave to their wants. Ask yourself, do I own my possessions? Or do my possessions own me? This question reveals a great deal about your relationship with money. The next lesson is learning the difference between needs and wants. Modern society encourages constant consumption. Advertisements tell you that happiness is one purchase away. Social media convinces you that success must be displayed. People buy things they do not need to impress people they do not know. And then they wonder why they remain financially stressed. The Stoics taught simplicity, not because simplicity is glamorous, but because simplicity creates freedom. The fewer unnecessary desires you have, the easier it becomes to live well. This does not mean you cannot enjoy success. It means success should not control you. Own nice things if you choose. Just do not allow those things to own your peace of mind. Another important lesson is delayed gratification. Most people want rewards immediately. They want comfort today, pleasure today, results today. The problem is that immediate gratification often creates future pain. The disciplined person sacrifices today to improve tomorrow. They save money when others spend recklessly. They invest when others consume endlessly. They think long-term while others focus only on the present moment. The ability to delay gratification is one of the strongest predictors of future success. Why? Because life rewards patience. Wealth is rarely built overnight. Financial stability is rarely achieved instantly. Strong foundations take time. The Stoic accepts this reality. They do not rush. They do not panic. They remain patient and consistent. Mastering money also means preparing for uncertainty. Life is unpredictable. Unexpected expenses will appear. Challenges will come. Economic conditions will change. The person who prepares survives these moments with greater confidence. The person who ignores preparation often struggles when difficulty arrives. The Stoics practiced preparation in every area of life. Financial preparation is no different. Save consistently. Plan wisely. Think ahead. Do not assume good times will last forever. Preparation creates peace. Another powerful lesson is understanding that wealth and worth are not the same thing. Many people measure their value by their bank account. The Stoics never did. Your character matters more than your income. Your integrity matters more than your possessions. Your wisdom matters more than your status. Money can improve comfort. It cannot purchase character. It cannot buy discipline. It cannot buy peace of mind. Those things must be earned through personal growth. The wealthiest person is not always the person with the most money. Sometimes the wealthiest person is the one who needs the least. Think about that. A person who is content, disciplined, and financially responsible often experiences more peace than someone who is rich but constantly anxious. Money is important, but peace is priceless. Every day, ask yourself, am I spending wisely? Am I preparing for the future? Am I controlling my desires? Am I using money as a tool or allowing it to control me? These questions help build financial wisdom. And financial wisdom creates freedom. Remember this. Money is a wonderful servant, but it is a terrible master. Master your money before it masters you. Develop discipline. Practice patience. Live below your means. Prepare for the future. And never forget that true wealth begins with self-control. Before we move to the fourth and final M, subscribe to Stoic Ascension and turn on notifications. If you're committed to building discipline, financial wisdom, emotional strength, and true self-mastery, subscribe now and join our growing community of modern Stoics. Now, let's move to the final and most powerful M, your mind. Chapter 4. Master your mind. Of the 4 M's, this is the most important, because your mouth follows your mind. Your mood follows your mind. Your money decisions follow your mind. Everything begins in the mind. Master your mind, you gain control over your life. Neglect your mind, and every other area eventually suffers. The Stoics understood this truth better than most people ever will. They knew that the greatest battlefield is not outside of you. It is inside of you. The battle between discipline and temptation. The battle between courage and fear. The battle between wisdom and impulse. The battle between who you are and who you could become. Every day, that battle is taking place within your mind. Every day, one side wins. The question is, which side are you feeding? Most people spend their lives allowing their minds to wander without direction. They think whatever thoughts appear. They believe every emotion. They react to every impulse. As a result, they become controlled by forces they barely understand. The Stoic chooses a different path. The Stoic becomes the master of the mind rather than its servant. The first lesson is guarding your thoughts. Every action begins as a thought. Every habit begins as a thought. Every success and every failure begins as a thought. If you allow negative thinking to dominate your mind, eventually it will dominate your life. If you constantly think, I can't do it, I'm not capable, it's impossible, those thoughts become beliefs, and those beliefs become reality. Your mind believes what you repeatedly tell it. This is why mental discipline is essential. Pay attention to your inner dialogue. Listen to the conversations happening inside your own head. Are they making you stronger, or are they making you weaker? The next lesson is focus. A distracted mind is a weak mind. Modern life is designed to steal your attention. Notification, social media, endless entertainment, constant distractions. Many people spend years consuming information without ever applying it. They know a little about everything and master nothing. The Stoics valued concentration. They understood that greatness requires focus. One focused hour is often more productive than an entire day of distraction. Ask yourself, what deserves my attention? What is stealing my attention? The answer to those questions may explain why you are where you are today. Mastering your mind also means learning to think independently. Most people allow the crowd to think for them. They follow trends. They copy opinions. They repeat ideas without examining them. The Stoics challenged everything, not because they wanted to argue, but because they wanted truth. Do not believe something simply because everyone else believes it. Think for yourself. Question your assumptions. Examine your beliefs. Seek wisdom rather than approval. A strong mind values truth more than popularity. Another essential lesson is overcoming fear. Fear lives inside the mind. And fear has stopped more dreams than failure ever has. Fear of rejection. Fear of criticism. Fear of making mistakes. Fear of looking foolish. Fear keeps people trapped. The Stoics recognized that fear often grows larger in imagination than in reality. Most of the things people worry about never happen. Many of the things that do happen are not nearly as terrible as they imagined. The cure for fear is action. The longer you avoid something, the larger it becomes in your mind. The moment you face it, its power begins to shrink. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is action despite fear. Master your mind. Fear loses its control over you. The next lesson is protecting your peace. Not every problem deserves your attention. Not every argument deserves your response. Not every opinion deserves your concern. One of the greatest skills you can develop is knowing what to ignore. The Stoics called this focusing on what is within your control. You cannot control everything. You cannot control other people. You cannot control every outcome. You cannot control every challenge. You can control your response. You can control your attitude. You can control your actions. That is enough. Peace comes when you stop fighting battles you were never meant to fight. The strongest minds are not constantly busy. They are clear. They are calm. They are disciplined. They know where to place their energy. Every day, take time to strengthen your mind. Read something valuable. Reflect on your actions. Challenge your thinking. Practice gratitude. Spend time in silence. Train your mind the same way an athlete trains their body. Consistency creates strength. Remember this. The quality of your mind determines the quality of your life. A disciplined mind creates discipline. A peaceful mind creates peace. A focused mind creates results. A strong mind creates a strong future. Master your mind, you begin to master everything else. You have now learned the 4 M's. Master your mouth. Master your mood. Master your money. Master your mind. These 4 areas influence nearly every outcome in your life. Ignore them, and life becomes harder. Master them, and life becomes more intentional, more disciplined, and more rewarding. If you made it this far, you're already ahead of most people. Subscribe to Stoic Ascension and turn on notifications for more powerful Stoic lessons, self-mastery strategies, and timeless wisdom designed to help you rise above weakness and become the strongest version of yourself. Your ascension begins with mastering yourself. That journey starts today. Chapter 5. The Stoic Path to Total Self-Mastery. You have now reached the end of this journey. In many ways, this is where your real journey begins. Because knowledge alone changes nothing. Understanding changes nothing. Listening changes nothing. Transformation happens only when wisdom becomes action. Throughout this video, we explored the 4 M's that shape nearly every area of life. Your mouth, your mood, your money, and your mind. At first glance, these may seem like separate areas, but they are deeply connected. A disciplined mind produces disciplined words. Disciplined words create stronger relationships. Stronger relationships create better opportunities. Better opportunities improve your financial future. Financial stability helps protect your peace of mind. Everything is connected. This is why self-mastery is not about fixing one area of your life. It is about building a foundation that supports every area of your life. The Stoics understood that true success begins within. Most people spend their lives trying to control things outside themselves. They try to control circumstances. They try to control outcomes. They try to control other people. In doing so, they lose control of the one thing that truly belongs to them: themselves. The Stoic chooses a different path. The Stoic asks, how can I become stronger? How can I become wiser? How can I become more disciplined? How can I become a better human being? These questions lead to a life of purpose, because the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your character. Not your possessions, not your popularity, not your status, your character. The truth is that nobody is coming to save you. No perfect opportunity is coming. No magical moment is coming. No future version of yourself will suddenly appear and fix everything. The responsibility belongs to you. While that may sound harsh, it is actually empowering. Because if you are responsible for your life, you also have the power to change it. Starting today, not next year, not next month. Today, imagine what happens when you master your mouth. You speak with wisdom instead of impulse. You earn trust instead of creating conflict. You become respected because your words carry weight. Imagine what happens when you master your mood. You stop being controlled by every emotion. You remain calm when others panic. You remain steady when others quit. You become emotionally resilient. Imagine what happens when you master your money. You stop living in constant financial stress. You make decisions based on wisdom rather than impulse. You build security, freedom, and peace of mind. And imagine what happens when you master your mind. Fear loses its grip. Distractions lose their power. Doubt loses its influence. You become focused, disciplined, and unstoppable. This is the path of Stoic self-mastery. Not perfection. Progress. The Stoics never claimed that life would become easy. They understood that challenges are unavoidable. Pain is unavoidable. Disappointment is unavoidable. Loss is unavoidable. But suffering caused by poor decisions, weak discipline, and lack of self-control can be reduced. That is where growth happens. Every challenge becomes training. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity. Every setback becomes a lesson. The Stoic does not ask, "Why is this happening to me?" The Stoic asks, "What can this teach me?" That single shift in perspective changes everything. The greatest version of yourself is not created overnight. It is created through daily choices. One disciplined action. One wise decision. One courageous step. Repeated again and again. Days become weeks. Weeks become months. Months become years. One day, you look back and realize that you have become someone entirely different. Stronger. Wiser. Calme. More disciplined. More capable. More free. That transformation begins with the decision to take responsibility for your own life. No excuses. No blaming. No waiting. Just action. Just growth. Just self-mastery. As we close this video, remember this. You do not need to be better than everyone else. You only need to be better than the person you were yesterday. That is enough. That is the Stoic way. That is the path to greatness. That is the path to Ascension. If this video helped you in any way, subscribe to Stoic Ascension and turn on notifications. Our mission is simple: to help you build discipline when others choose comfort. To help you develop wisdom when others chase distractions. To help you cultivate strength when others surrender to weakness. To help you become the strongest version of yourself. Join the Stoic Ascension community today, because the world does not need more followers. It needs more disciplined minds, more resilient souls, more people willing to master themselves. Thank you for watching. Stay disciplined. Stay focused. Stay resilient. Remember, master your mouth. Master your mood. Master your money. Master your mind. Master yourself. Your ascension becomes inevitable. Focus on yourself and stay silent. What if the single greatest act of rebellion you could commit in the modern world had nothing to do with fighting anyone? What if the most radical, the most powerful, the most transformative thing you could do right now, in a world that is louder and more distracted and more chaotic than it has ever been in human history, was simply this? Focus on yourself and stay silent. Not the silence of someone who has nothing to say. Not the silence of someone who is afraid. Not the silence of someone who has been defeated and retreated into invisibility because the world was too much. The silence of someone who has made a decision. A quiet, unshakable, deeply intentional decision that their energy, their precious, finite, irreplaceable energy, belongs to their own growth first. Before it belongs to any performance. Before it belongs to any audience. Before it belongs to any drama or any chaos or any situation that was never theirs to fix in the first place. This kind of silence is not passive. It is the loudest statement a human being can make without saying a single word. It says, "I know where I am going. I know what I am building. I know who I am becoming. And I have decided that none of that requires your commentary, your validation, your permission, or your applause." The Stoics built entire philosophies around this principle.
Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca.
These were not quiet men because they were weak. They were not focused on themselves because they were selfish. They were focused and they were silent because they had discovered something that the majority of the human race spends its entire existence missing. That the real work, the work that actually changes a life, that actually builds something lasting, that actually produces the kind of person who walks into a room and commands respect without demanding it, happens inside. In private. In the still, protected, sacred space between stimulus and response. In the silence. This is wisdom unlocked. And today we are going somewhere that most people are too distracted, too loud, and too afraid to go. Inside. The world wants your attention and your energy. Before we go anywhere else, we need to understand the battlefield. Because make no mistake, and the Stoics would be the first to tell you this, there is a war being waged for your attention every single moment of every single day. And most people are losing it so badly and so consistently that they do not even know they are in a fight. Look at what the modern world has built. An entire technological infrastructure whose sole purpose, whose entire economic model, is built around one thing: keeping you looking outward. Keeping your attention fragmented and scattered and directed everywhere except the one place it could actually transform your life: inward. Social media was not built to connect you. It was built to capture you. Every notification, every like, every comment, every trending topic, every carefully engineered outrage, these are not accidents. They are precision tools designed by some of the most brilliant minds on the planet with one objective in mind: keep you scrolling, keep you reacting, keep you outside yourself. And it works. With devastating effectiveness. The average person today spends more time consuming other people's lives than living their own. More time reacting to things that have nothing to do with their actual values or their actual goals than they spend building toward them. More time performing a version of themselves for an audience than they spend genuinely being themselves in the quiet moments when no one is watching. And the result is a kind of emptiness that is almost unique to our era. It is the emptiness of constant stimulation, the hollowness of perpetual connection, the strange loneliness of someone who has thousands of followers and does not know who they actually are. Because knowing who you are requires something the modern world does not sell and does not reward. It requires turning the attention around, pointing it inward, removing it from the endless scroll of other people's lives and directing it, with full focus, full commitment, full Stoic intentionality, toward your own. Marcus Aurelius faced his own version of this problem. He was the most visible person in the Roman Empire. Every eye was on him. Every decision he made was scrutinized and criticized and celebrated and condemned. He was surrounded by people who wanted things from him: his time, his attention, his authority, his validation. And yet in his private journal, the Meditations, we see a man in constant practice of turning the attention inward. Constant practice of examining his own thoughts, his own beliefs, his own failures, his own growth. A man who understood that everything he had to offer the world, as a leader, as a philosopher, as a human being, was dependent on the quality of the inner life he was cultivating in private. He focused on himself, quietly, relentlessly, every single day. And the result was one of the most remarkable human beings who ever lived. Not because the world built him, but because he built himself, from the inside out, in the silence, where no one else could see the work being done. That is what this video is about. And if you are ready, really ready, to understand what this means and what it demands and what it can produce in your life, then let us begin. Chapter 1. What it truly means to focus on yourself. Let us start by clearing away the misunderstanding that stops most people from ever truly embracing this principle. Focusing on yourself is not selfishness. Let me say that again with complete clarity. Focusing on yourself is not selfishness. Selfishness is taking from others for your own gain at their expense. Selfishness is using people. Selfishness is indifference to the suffering of those around you. Selfishness is making yourself the center of a universe that includes other people who matter. Focusing on yourself is none of those things. Focusing on yourself is the disciplined, intentional, stoic practice of becoming the best version of who you are, so that everything you bring to the world, to your relationships, to your work, to your community, is the fullest, most authentic, most genuinely powerful expression of what you have to offer. It is not subtraction from the world. It is addition. It is giving the world a whole person rather than a half-empty shell running on borrowed energy and unexamined beliefs. The Stoics understood this with profound clarity. Epictetus, who had been a slave, who had experienced the most extreme form of external control that exists, taught that the only path to genuine freedom begins with focusing entirely on what is yours to influence. And what is yours to influence? Your own mind, your own character, your own beliefs, your own responses, your own choices, your own growth. Not other people's opinions of you, not the circumstances you were born into, not the chaos of the world around you. Not what other people are doing or achieving or thinking or saying. Your own inner world. Full stop. This is what focusing on yourself means in the Stoic tradition. It is not navel-gazing. It is not self-obsession. It is the precise, disciplined direction of your energy and attention toward the only arena in which you have genuine sovereignty. And here is what makes this so powerful and so counterintuitive at the same time. The more you genuinely focus on yourself, on your real growth, your real values, your real development as a human being, the less you need from the world. The less you need to be validated. The less you need to be seen. The less you need the approval that most people spend enormous amounts of energy chasing at the cost of the very thing that would actually make them whole. You become, in the truest and deepest sense, self-sufficient. Not because you do not value connection or community or love, but because you no longer need those things to complete you. You bring a complete self to every relationship. And from that completeness, genuine love, genuine friendship, genuine contribution become possible in a way that need-based connection never can be. Focusing on yourself is the foundation of everything. It is where the real work begins and where the most important results are produced. Chapter 2. The Discipline of Silence. Silence is perhaps the most misunderstood and undervalued discipline in the entire modern world. We have been taught, implicitly and explicitly, that silence is uncomfortable, that it needs to be filled. That a person who is quiet must be either awkward or unintelligent or hiding something. That the ability to always have something to say is a virtue, and that saying nothing is a kind of weakness. This is completely, entirely, devastatingly wrong. And the Stoics knew it. Epictetus taught that nature gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. That the ratio is intentional. That listening, observing, and remaining silent are twice as valuable as speaking. He warned his students against the compulsive need to fill every silence with words, noting that most speech is not communication but performance. Not the sharing of genuine thought, but the anxious display of the self for an audience. True silence, disciplined, chosen, intentional silence, is not empty. It is full. It is packed with perception and awareness and intelligence. It is the state in which you are taking in far more than you could ever take in while talking. When you are silent, you observe. You see what others miss because they are too busy performing to pay attention. You notice the dynamics in a room. You understand people at a depth that only becomes available when you stop broadcasting and start receiving. When you are silent, you think. Not the reactive, surface-level thinking that happens in the middle of a heated exchange, but the deep, unhurried, genuinely creative thinking that requires space and stillness and the absence of the noise that normally interrupts it. When you are silent, you feel. You become aware of what is actually happening inside you. The intuitions, the discomforts, the quiet knowings that are always there beneath the surface but almost never audible above the noise you generate and consume. Marcus Aurelius was famous among those who knew him for the quality of his silence. Not an awkward silence. Not a cold silence. But a settled, observant, deeply present silence that made the people around him feel simultaneously seen and slightly unnerved. Because his silence was not an absence. It was a force. And this is one of the most important things to understand about the discipline of staying silent. Silence is not nothing. It is something. It is presence without performance. It is attention without agenda. It is power without the need to display itself. And in a world where everyone is screaming for attention, where everyone is performing, broadcasting, asserting, reacting, the person who is genuinely, comfortably, powerfully silent stands out in a way that no amount of noise ever could. Because silence commands a room in ways that noise never can. Silence communicates confidence. Silence communicates depth. Silence communicates the settled assurance of someone who does not need the world's constant response to feel sure of who they are. Practice silence. Choose it deliberately. Protect it fiercely. It is one of the most powerful tools available to you. Chapter 3. Stop competing and start building. Here is one of the most energy-draining habits that most people do not even realize they have developed. Comparing themselves to others. It happens almost automatically. You see someone else's achievement and immediately, without any conscious decision, you measure yourself against it. You see someone else's life and you evaluate your own through that lens. You watch someone else move ahead and something tightens in your chest and you find yourself thinking about where you are in relation to where they are. This is comparison. And it is one of the most effective ways the world steals your focus from yourself and redirects it outward, toward other people's journeys, other people's timelines, other people's lives. The Stoics had no patience for comparison of this kind. They understood it for exactly what it is, a distraction from the only race that actually matters. The race with yourself. Marcus Aurelius wrote about the importance of measuring your progress not against other people but against who you were yesterday. Not whether you are ahead of your peers, but whether you are becoming more of what you are capable of becoming. Not whether your results match someone else's, but whether your choices reflect your values. This is an entirely different and infinitely more powerful frame. Because when you are competing with yourself, you always have access to exactly the right opponent. One who knows your specific weaknesses and your specific strengths. One whose timeline is perfectly calibrated to your own development. One whose victories are genuinely yours and whose defeats are genuinely instructive. When you are competing with others, you are almost always operating with false data. You are comparing your behind the scenes to their highlight reel. You are measuring your full reality, with all its mess and struggle and uncertainty, against the curated performance they have chosen to present. It is never an accurate comparison. It is never a fair one. And it never produces anything useful. What it does produce is one of the most destructive emotions available to a human being. Envy. Envy is the belief that someone else's success somehow diminishes yours. That there is a finite amount of achievement available and that what they have taken is unavailable to you. Envy turns other people's wins into personal losses. It makes you the enemy of people who were never your opponents to begin with. And it directs all of your creative, productive, generative energy toward resentment rather than creation. The Stoic alternative is so much more powerful and so much more freeing. Stop watching what others are building. Turn around. Face your own empty field. Pick up your own tools. And start building your vision, your values, your goals, your version of the life you want to live. Not faster than someone else. Not better than someone else. Just more fully, more honestly, more consistently yours than it was yesterday. That is the only competition worth your energy. The only comparison worth making. Focus on yourself. Build your own thing. Let others do the same. And watch what becomes possible when you redirect all of that comparative energy toward genuine creation. Chapter 4. The Power of Your Private Hours. There is a question that will tell you almost everything you need to know about the trajectory of your life. What do you do when no one is watching? Not what you post about. Not what you tell people you do. Not what you intend to do or plan to do or aspire to do. What do you actually do in the hours when there is no audience? When there is no performance required? When you could do absolutely anything and no one would know? Those hours are the truest measure of who you are and who you are becoming. Because anyone can perform discipline. Anyone can show up with focus and intention when the cameras are on and the stakes are visible and the crowd is watching. The performance of effort is one of the easiest things in the world to produce. What is rare, what is genuinely rare and genuinely powerful, is the person who does the work in private. Who reads the book when no one knows they are reading. Who goes to bed early when everyone else is out. Who practices the skill, builds the habit, maintains the discipline in the quiet hours when there is absolutely no external reward for doing so. This is what the Stoics called living in accordance with your values regardless of witness. Epictetus taught that the true test of a person's character is what they do when no one is watching. Not what they say about themselves. Not what their reputation suggests. Not what they perform for the people in their lives. What they actually choose in private. Because in private there is no performance incentive. There is only the person you actually are, with all of your genuine commitments and genuine laziness and genuine courage and genuine avoidance, faced with the choice of what to do with the time and energy that is entirely your own. Marcus Aurelius wrote his meditations in private. He never intended for anyone to read them. They were not a performance of wisdom. They were the actual practice of it, messy, honest, sometimes repetitive, always sincere. The private journal of a man in genuine dialogue with himself about how to live better. That practice, that private, unglamorous, unperformed practice, is what produced one of the most remarkable philosophical legacies in human history. Not the public performance, the private practice. Your private hours are where your real life is built, where your real character is forged, where the gap between who you are right now and who you are capable of becoming is either widened or narrowed, one quiet choice at a time. Guard them, honor them, use them with intention, because what you do when no one is watching is who you are, and who you are is what your life will become. Chapter 5. Let go of the need to be understood. This is one of the hardest lessons in the entire Stoic tradition, and one of the most liberating once you truly grasp it. Not everyone will understand you. Not everyone is supposed to. And spending your energy trying to make them understand is one of the most costly and least productive things you can do with the one life you have been given. Think about how much energy goes into this. The explaining, the justifying, the carefully constructed defenses of decisions that were yours to make without defense. The exhausting effort of trying to help people see you the way you see yourself. And think about how rarely it works. Because the people who are meant to understand you, the ones who are genuinely aligned with who you are and what you are building, will understand you without extensive explanation. Not because they are mind readers, but because there is a resonance, a recognition, a meeting of genuine values and genuine character that communicates itself without needing to be translated. And the people who are not meant to understand you, the ones who are operating from a different set of values, a different level of awareness, a different vision of what life is for, will not understand you no matter how eloquently you explain yourself. This is not a failure of communication. It is simply alignment, or the absence of it. Marcus Aurelius faced profound misunderstanding throughout his life and his reign. He was a philosopher-emperor in a world that expected a warrior. He was a man of deep interior life in a role that demanded constant external performance. He was consistently misread, misrepresented, and underestimated by people who could not comprehend how a man could hold power and practice philosophy simultaneously. And his response, his Stoic response, was not to spend his energy correcting them. It was to keep living in accordance with his values, to keep doing the work, to keep being exactly who he was, with full commitment and zero performance, and to trust that the life he was building would eventually speak for itself in ways that his words never could. This is the ultimate form of self-focus, the ultimate act of staying silent, not explaining yourself to people who are not ready to understand you, not adjusting yourself to fit the limited perception of people who cannot yet see the full picture of what you are building. Just continuing, quietly, powerfully, in full alignment with your own truth. There is something deeply peaceful about releasing the need to be understood, about accepting that your life is not required to make sense to everyone who observes it, that your choices are not subject to a public approval process, that your values and your vision and your path are yours, uniquely, completely, irrevocably yours, and that their validity does not depend on anyone else's recognition. Let go of the need to be understood. Focus on the need to be true to yourself. That is enough. It is more than enough. It is everything. Chapter 6. The Stoic Approach to Distraction. We need to have a very honest conversation about distraction, because distraction is not just an inconvenience. It is not just a bad habit. In the context of everything we've been discussing today, focusing on yourself, staying silent, doing the private work of genuine transformation, distraction is the enemy, the single most effective weapon that the world has against your growth. And it is important to understand that the world is very good at wielding it. Distraction today comes in forms that are almost impossibly sophisticated. The same technologies that connect us to information and to each other have been specifically engineered to override your self-control, to trigger the most primitive reward centers in your brain, to make the endless consumption of content feel more immediately satisfying than the difficult, uncomfortable, deeply rewarding work of genuine self-development. Your phone is not a neutral tool. Social media is not a neutral space. The content ecosystem is not designed to serve your growth. It is designed to serve its own economic interests, which are advanced every time you scroll, every time you react, every time you click, every time you spend one more minute inside the machine rather than inside your own life. The Stoics could not have imagined the specific forms that distraction takes in the modern world. but they understood its mechanism with complete clarity. Seneca wrote, "Most men ebb and flow in wretchedness between the fear of death and the hardships of life. They are unwilling to live, and yet they do not know how to die. And so they make their life a torment by running from themselves at every opportunity." Running from themselves. That is what distraction is, at its core. Beneath all of the entertainment and the stimulation and the endless content, it is running from the discomfort of being alone with yourself. Running from the quiet where the real questions live. Running from the work that you know needs to be done and that you are not yet ready to face. The Stoic solution is not to demonize distraction or to pretend that the desire for it is a moral failing. The Stoic solution is to understand it clearly, to see it for what it is rather than what it pretends to be, and then to make conscious choices about when and whether to engage with it. Marcus Aurelius wrote about the importance of beginning each day with the question, what is necessary? Not what is comfortable. Not what is entertaining. Not what will earn the approval of others. What is actually necessary for living a life in alignment with my values today? That question, asked honestly, at the start of every day, before the phone is checked and the notifications are consumed and the world rushes in, is one of the most powerful tools you have against distraction. Because most of what you are distracted by is not necessary. Most of what consumes your attention on any given day has nothing to do with who you are trying to become or what you are trying to build. Most of it is noise, compelling, engineered, almost irresistible noise, but noise nonetheless. And noise, however sophisticated, can never build the life that silence and focus can. Choose your focus deliberately. Guard it fiercely. Return to it every time the distraction pulls you away, not with guilt, but with a calm, practiced intention of someone who knows exactly where their attention belongs. Chapter 7. Building something that lasts. Most people are so focused on being seen that they never stop to ask whether what they are building is worth seeing. They spend enormous energy on the performance of building, on looking like someone who is achieving, growing, succeeding, while the actual building receives whatever energy is left over after the performance is done, which is usually very little. And the result is a kind of impressive-looking emptiness. A life that looks good from the outside, the right credentials, the right aesthetic, the right associations. But that feels hollow from the inside because the foundation was never actually laid. Because the real work, the unglamorous, unperformed, deeply private work of building something genuinely solid, was always sacrificed on the altar of looking like you were doing it. The Stoics were ruthlessly unimpressed by the appearance of virtue. They were interested only in the real thing. Epictetus taught his students that a philosopher is not someone who talks about philosophy, but someone who lives it. That the measure of your practice is not the sophistication of your explanations, but the quality of your choices. Not the beauty of your theory, but the honesty of your daily practice. And the same principle applies to building any kind of meaningful life. The measure is not what it looks like. It is what it actually is. Is the relationship genuinely loving or just externally harmonious? Is the career genuinely fulfilling or just impressive on paper? Is the personal growth real, reflected in the actual quality of your choices and responses, or is it performed for an audience that you have become more committed to than the growth itself? Focusing on yourself and staying silent creates the conditions in which real building becomes possible. Because when you remove the performance, when you stop building for the audience and start building for the reality, you can finally ask the honest questions. What do I actually want? Not what sounds good to say I want. What do I genuinely, in my quiet, honest moments, want my life to become? What am I actually good at? Not what I perform well. What do I do when I am most aligned? Most natural, most energized, most truly myself? What actually matters to me? Not what I have been told should matter. Not what the culture says is important. What, when I am honest with myself in the silence, genuinely matters to my soul? Those questions, and the honest answers to them, are the blueprint for something real. Something lasting. Something that will still feel like yours 20 years from now because it was built from the inside out rather than from the outside in. Build in private. Build honestly. Build for the long term. And trust that what is genuinely and honestly built will eventually stand in a way that no performance ever could. Chapter 8. The gift of your own company. Here is something that most of the modern world has completely forgotten how to do. Enjoy being alone. Not tolerating it. Not surviving it. Not filling every moment of it with content and music and social media to make it bearable. Actually enjoying it. Finding genuine richness and renewal and pleasure in the company of your own mind. This might sound simple, and yet for millions of people, perhaps most people in the modern world, genuine solitude is one of the most uncomfortable experiences available. The moment the silence settles in, the anxiety rises. The moment there is nothing to stimulate or entertain or distract, something that feels like dread begins to surface. And so the phone comes out. The music goes on. The podcast starts. Anything, absolutely anything, to fill the silence and avoid the discomfort of being genuinely alone with oneself. But the Stoics saw something in that discomfort that most people miss. They saw that the discomfort of solitude is not a sign that you should avoid it. It is a sign that you need it most. Because what surfaces in the silence, what rises when the stimulation stops and the performance ends and you are left with nothing but your own unfiltered experience, is the truth. The actual state of your inner life. The real thoughts, the real feelings, the real questions that live beneath the noise you generate to avoid them. And truth, even uncomfortable truth, is always more valuable than the comfortable distraction that keeps it at bay. Marcus Aurelius actively sought solitude. Not because he was antisocial. Not because he disliked people. He was a deeply relational man who clearly valued the people in his life. But he understood, from direct experience, that the quality of every relationship, every decision, every action he took in the world was directly dependent on the quality of the time he spent alone with himself. He needed to know his own mind before he engaged with other minds. He needed to clarify his own values before he navigated the competing values of others. He needed the solitude not as a retreat from life, but as the foundation from which his fullest engagement with life was possible. And here is what genuine solitude, practiced regularly, embraced rather than endured, gives you. It gives you yourself back. The self that gets scattered by the demands of daily life. The self that gets fractured by the constant input of other people's needs and opinions and energies. The self that gets buried under the roles you play and the performances you maintain and the endless accommodations you make to keep the world around you comfortable. In solitude, that self reassembles. In silence, it remembers what it knows. In the privacy of your own company, genuine, unhurried, unperformed, you return to yourself in a way that nothing else makes possible. Learn to love your own company. Not as a consolation for the absence of others, but as a genuine, chosen, deeply nourishing practice that makes you more whole, more clear, more powerful in every area of your life. You are worth spending time with. Start treating your own company as the privilege it actually is. Chapter 9. When your silence speaks louder than words. There is a particular kind of power that most people in the modern world have almost entirely lost access to. The power of restraint. The power of having something to say and choosing not to say it. Of knowing what someone deserves to hear and deciding that your energy is better spent elsewhere. Of having the ability to react and choosing instead to respond. Or, most powerfully of all, choosing to do nothing at all. This is not weakness. It is arguably the most advanced form of strength available to a human being. Seneca wrote that the mark of a great mind is the ability to disagree with something without the compulsion to immediately announce that disagreement. That wisdom knows when speaking adds value and when it simply adds noise. Think about how much of what you say on any given day actually needs to be said. How much of your commentary, your reactions, your opinions shared in real time, how much of it is genuinely necessary? How much of it serves your values and your relationships and your growth? And how much of it is simply the reflexive output of a mind that has been trained to react to everything immediately and without filter? The discipline of staying silent, of choosing restraint, is about becoming someone who speaks with intention rather than impulse. Whose words carry weight because they are not diluted by constant, thoughtless output. Who understands that every word spoken is a withdrawal from a finite account of credibility and attention, and who manages that account with the same wisdom they would apply to any other valuable resource. In practical terms, this means staying out of arguments that do not matter. Not every disagreement deserves your engagement. Not every provocation deserves your response. Not every person who challenges your choices or questions your values or criticizes your decisions deserves the gift of your time and energy. Most of them deserve your silence. not the silence of someone who has nothing to say. The silence of someone who has decided that saying it would cost more than it is worth. Marcus Aurelius was tested constantly in this area. As emperor, he was surrounded by people who were wrong, by situations that were unjust, by provocations that were deeply personal. He had more reason than most to react, and more power than anyone to do so. And yet the Meditations reveal a man in constant practice of restraint, constant practice of choosing the considered response over the immediate reaction, of asking, what does wisdom require here? Not what does my emotion demand? What does wisdom require? That question changes everything. Because wisdom almost never requires the immediate, unfiltered, emotionally driven response. Wisdom almost always counsels pause, consideration, silence when silence serves better than speech. Practice restraint. Practice the discipline of choosing when your silence serves you better than your words. Practice the profound, mature, deeply stoic art of letting things pass that do not require your engagement. And watch how your presence in the world begins to carry a different quality. A heavier, more grounded, more genuinely authoritative quality. The quality of someone who speaks because they have something worth saying, not because they could not stop themselves. Chapter 10. The life that focus and silence builds. We have come a long way in this conversation. And now I want to paint you a picture of what the life on the other side of all of this actually looks like. Because the disciplines we've been discussing, focusing on yourself, staying silent, building in private, releasing the need to be understood, practicing solitude, choosing restraint, these are not ends in themselves. They are means. They are the practices that produce a specific kind of life. And that life is worth describing. Because I think most people have forgotten that it is possible, or have never been shown what it looks like in reality rather than in theory. It is the life of someone who wakes up in the morning and knows exactly who they are. Not a performed identity. Not a role maintained for an audience. The real, examined, honestly known self that was built through years of private practice and quiet commitment. It is the life of someone whose relationships are deep rather than broad. Who has fewer connections but more genuine ones. Who brings their full, unperformed, completely present self to every meaningful relationship, and who receives the same in return. Because like attracts like. And the person who has done the work of becoming whole attracts other whole people. It is the life of someone whose work is genuinely theirs. Built on real strengths, driven by real values, directed toward real meaning. Not impressive for the sake of impressing. Meaningful for the sake of meaning. Aligned with who they actually are rather than with who the world told them to be. It is the life of someone who moves through the world with a quality that is almost impossible to manufacture. A settled, grounded, deeply rooted quality that comes from knowing yourself completely, the light and the shadow, and having made peace with the whole of it. This quality has many names. Presence, authority, gravitas, charisma. But beneath all of those names, it is really just one thing. The unmistakable quality of a person who is actually, genuinely, completely themselves. And people can feel it. They feel it the moment you walk in. They feel it in the weight of your silence and the intention of your words. They feel it in the ease with which you hold your boundaries and the clarity with which you state your values. They feel it in the complete absence of the anxiety that attends performance. The subtle desperation of someone who needs to be seen in a certain way. There is nothing quite as magnetic as a person who simply does not need you to see them in any particular way. Because they already see themselves clearly. And that clarity, that private, hard-won, quietly held self-knowledge, is everything. It is the foundation on which every other good thing in a human life is built. Marcus Aurelius built this life. Not perfectly. His journals show us a man in constant struggle, constant revision, constant honest reckoning with his own failings. But committed. Absolutely, daily, quietly committed to the practice of becoming more fully himself. And from that commitment, from that private, unperformed, ongoing dedication to his own inner life, he produced a public legacy that has endured for nearly 2,000 years. Not because he was trying to produce a legacy, but because he was trying to live rightly, in private, in silence, with full focus on the only thing he could actually control, himself. That is the life that focus and silence builds. And it is available to you, right now, starting today, with one simple, radical, profoundly powerful decision: to turn the attention around, to focus on yourself, and to stay silent while you build. If this video reached something real in you, if something in these words found the part of you that has been waiting to be found, then I have one simple request. Subscribe to Stoic Ascension. Because what we are building here is not just a channel. It is a community. A community of people who have made the decision, quietly, deliberately, without announcement, to take their own lives seriously, to do the real work, to go past the surface and into the depth where the actual transformation happens. Every single week we bring the ancient wisdom of the Stoics to bear on the real, modern, deeply human challenges you are actually facing. The challenge of staying focused in a world designed to scatter your attention. The challenge of knowing yourself in a world designed to tell you who to be. The challenge of building something real in a world that rewards performance over substance. We go deep here. We go honest. We go into the places that most content is too comfortable to go. And if that is what you are looking for, if you are ready for a channel that treats your growth as seriously as you are beginning to treat it, then hit that subscribe button right now. Hit the bell so you never miss a lesson that could change the way you see yourself and the world you are navigating. And if this video spoke to something true in you, if it moved something, shifted something, opened something, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Someone in your life who is scattered, who is lost in the noise, who has forgotten that the most important work they can do is the quiet, private, focused work of becoming more fully themselves. Send it to them. Be the person who puts the right words in front of someone at exactly the right moment. That is what this community does for each other. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing this. Depth over noise, focus over distraction, silence over performance. Thank you for choosing yourself. Now go do the work. In private. In silence. With everything you have. We will see you in the next one.